Federer won his first Grand Slam in the year 2003 when he won the Wimbledon title. He has since gone on to win 6 Australian Opens, 1 French Open and 8 Wimbledons and 5 US Open titles. Karishma is joining us with more details on the big heartbreak that's awaiting the tennis fans. Karishma, after so many years, in fact, Roger Federer himself has also penned a very emotional note saying the last 24 years have felt like just 24 hours.
Well, absolutely, Pratibha. It is going to be a bittersweet moment for all the tennis fans across the world. Roger Federer retiring after a career that spanned over 24 years, and it has been a roller coaster ride for Roger Federer, going on to win 20 Grand Slam titles. His favorite tournament, of course, Wimbledon, that he has won 8 times. He's won 103 ATP singles titles as well, and he's been a world number 1 for about 310 weeks, which is close to 6 years. And in that, he has been number 1 consecutively for about 4.5 years. So clearly tells you what kind of a player Roger Federer has been. And the world just, taking in this news of Roger Federer retiring. We had Virat Kohli also, who reacted to Roger Federer's announcement and said that he is the greatest ever, King Roger forever. So those are the kind of reactions also that are coming in for Roger Federer, who has today announced his retirement. And next month, the lucky people in London are going to see Roger Federer play one last time in the ATP event. After that, he's only going to play tennis either for hobby or for charity, but it is end of the road as far as Roger Federer's competitive career goes, Pratibha.
That's right, Karishma. He's been the emperor of tennis, and it's going to be extremely tough, very heartbreaking for the tennis fans to let him to see him leave. But of course, it's been an honor just watching him play on the court for the last 24 years.
Well, absolutely. It has been an honor to watch him play, to see him lift those trophies, to see him come time and again from injuries and, win titles. The last Grand Slam title that he has won obviously was in 2018 when he won the Australian Open. He has won 6 Australian Open titles. He has 5 US Open titles. Most difficult always for Roger Federer used to be French Open, but he had 1 title of a French Open as well, and his favorite tournament, the grass court Wimbledon, where Roger Federer used to rule 8 times in that. And we've seen how Wimbledon has also penned a letter on Instagram saying, Roger, where do we begin? Thank you for giving us the honor to see you play. So those are the kind of reactions that are really coming if we talk about Roger Federer, because it's been an illustrious career. And in his letter as well, Pratibha, towards the end, last line says
that's
to
right.
The game,
and it's going to be a very emotional farewell as well, I'm sure. Thank you, Karishma, for joining us with those details.
Hindu villagers plead for help. Woke up to find lands grabbed. Waqf takeover sends ripples. Unlimited powers invoked.
A poster in Tamil, and it says that the whole village area is under the Waqf code. Then it goes on to say you need the Waqf NOC before buying or selling this land.
Gifted by secular ecosystem, 1991 Act caps Hindu claims over temples.
It effectively prevented Hindus from making claims over temples that had been either destroyed or built over by the Muslims.
1995 Act gives Waqf free run.
No other channel seems to be reporting. 7 villages that are said to be dominated by the Hindu community are now being claimed by the Waqf board as their own land.
Open appeasement mocks constitution. End Waqf special powers. Times Now campaign.
Viewers, hundreds of villagers, a majority of them Hindus, living in 6 Hindu-dominated villages in Tamil Nadu's Trichy area, are in a state of shock. They were rudely informed that the lands they owned for decades altogether had been claimed by the Waqf board. In fact, Even the priests of an ages-old temple dating allegedly back to the Chola period were in for a rude shock. They were told that the temple too was standing on Waqf land. When we first heard this news, we were also here at times now a bit surprised. After all, how could the Waqf board lay claim to whole villages and a medieval temple? So viewers, Times Now special investigation team traveled to Tamil Nadu's Tiruchendurai. Hapless villagers there narrated firsthand their ordeal. Listen to this, viewers. You'll be quite surprised.
சார் எங்களுக்கு தெரிய வந்து இப்போ கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 10 நாள் ஆகுது. இந்த 10 நாளில் ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸ்க்கு ஒருத்தர் லேண்ட் ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ண போகிறப்ப தான் விற்க போகிறப்ப தான் இந்த விஷயமே எல்லாமே ஹோல் திருச்செந்துறையே இந்த வக்பு வாரியத்து கீழே வந்திருக்கு அப்படின்றத ஒரு விஷயத்த எங்களுக்கு சொன்னாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் நாங்கள் இதை பற்றி அதுக்கடுத்து ஆராய ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது தான் அடுத்து பக்கத்தில் உள்ள கடியாக்குறிச்சி மேக்குடி பஞ்சாயத்து கடியாக்குறிச்சி கிராமம் இதெல்லாம் வந்து ஃபுல்லாகவே வக்பு வாரிய கமிட்டிக்கு கீழே இருக்குது, அவங்களோட சொத்து அப்படின்ற மாதிரி சொல்லியிருந்தாங்க. நாங்கள் மேற்கொண்டு அந்த ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரார்கிட்ட என்ன விஷயம், ஏன் இது மாதிரி இதுக்கான காரணம் திடீர்னு இது வந்து கிட்டத்தட்ட 2800 வருஷத்துக்கு மேலே மன்னர்களாட்சி காலத்தில் இருந்து இங்கே இந்துக்கள் இப்படி தான் நாங்கள் இருந்துட்டு இருக்கோம்.
ஆமாம், ரொம்ப மனசு கஷ்டமாயிருச்சு. ஏன்னா நாங்கள் டாக்குமெண்ட் எல்லாமே இருக்குதுங்க சார், எங்ககிட்ட நிறைய இருக்கு. எங்கள் மாமியார் பேரில் இருந்து மாமனார் பேர், மாமியார் பேர், எங்கள் வீட்டுக்காருக்கு பேர், அதுக்கப்புறம் என் பேரில் இருக்குங்க சார். என் பேருக்கு இப்போ இவ்வளோ தூரம் எப்படி வந்ததுன்னு எனக்கே தெரியல. இப்போ இவ்வளோ தூரம் இருந்திருந்தா எங்கள் பேர்லலாம் வராது இல்லைங்களா, எங்கள் பேருக்குலாம் வந்துருச்சு. அப்படி இருந்து எப்படி சார் அது அவங்களுக்கு சொந்தமாக ஆகும் அப்படிங்கிறது தான் இப்போ மன குலைச்சல் ஆயிடுச்சுங்க எங்களுக்கு.
Now viewers, you can clearly hear Jyotilakshmi, Shanmugam and Periyaswamy, all of them in deep shock. Periyaswamy says he's mentally depressed. The villagers here toil very hard and most are daily wages, he told us, and this is like encroachment. One fine day your property is gone from under your feet, viewers. Shanmugam villager said he finds it particularly galling. Majority in the village are Hindus, and when Waqf said that it is their property, they were in a shock, in a complete state of shock. We came to know about it recently, he said. We haven't got any official information on this. In fact, viewers, they only came to know about this when one among them decided to sell his land. And the collector turned around at the registry and he said, look, this land doesn't belong to you. You can't sell it. Go get an NOC, a no objection certificate from the Waqf board. As you heard, viewers, Jyotilakshmi saying that the land that she held was in my mother-in-law's name. It was transferred to my husband's name and is currently in my name. It was their Waqf property, then we couldn't have got it registered. So viewers, something is amiss. Our team, Times Now's team, your team, even traveled to the site of the mandir. Here now the pujaris of the mandir confirm to us its historical heritage. This mandir, viewers, has been around for decades, if not centuries. Our team first spoke to the pujaris and then verified these claims independently, because viewers, on this temple walls is a script that is written in Old Tamil, not spoken anymore. Listen to these reports.
இதுவுமே இந்த ஊர் மக்களுக்கு தெரியவே தெரியாது. இப்போ ஒரு 10 தினங்களாலாம் வக்ஃப் போர்டை பற்றி வெளியில் இந்த ஊருக்காரர் ஒருத்தர் ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸுக்கு ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ண போகும்போது ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ண முடியாது, வக்ஃப் போர்டு வந்து ஸ்டே வாங்கியிருக்காங்க. அவங்க 1962 நாங்கள் இந்த கிராமத்தை நாங்கள் ரிஜிஸ்டர் செய்து விட்டோம், எங்களுக்கு வக்ஃப் போர்டுக்கு என்று ரிஜிஸ்டர் செய்து விட்டோம் என்று சொல்கிறார்கள். அதற்கு பிறகு 75 அதை 1975 ரெனிவல் செய்துள்ளோம் என்று சொல்கிறார்கள். இது எல்லாமே பஞ்சாயத்து பிரசிடென்ட்டும் எக்ஸ் பிரசிடென்ட்டும் நேரடியாக ரிஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸில் போய் அவங்க வந்து அது ஆதாரத்தை கேட்கும்போது இந்த மாதிரி அவங்க வக்ஃப் போர்டு கொடுத்துருக்காங்க, அதனால நாங்கள் ரிஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணலை, எங்களுக்கு வந்து ஜிஓலாம் கிடையாது என்று ரிஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸில் சொன்னதாக எங்களுக்கு தெரியப்படுத்தினார்கள். ஆனால் வக்ஃப் போர்டை விட்டு இந்த கிராமம் திருச்செந்துறையும் கடியாக்குறிச்சி கிராமத்தும் வக்ஃப் போர்டில் இருக்கிறது என்பதுதான் அவர்கள் இன்னும் சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். ஆகையினால் எங்கள் ஊர் மக்களுக்கு இந்த கிராமத்தையும் இந்த சிவன் கோயிலையும் வக்ஃப் போர்டில் இருந்து மீட்டு இந்துக்களாகிய எங்களுக்கு இதை சாதகமாக்கி தருமாறு நாங்கள் ஊர் மக்கள் சார்பில் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம்.
We are in Tiruchendurai village, which is nearly 11 kilometers from Tiruchirappalli town on the way to Karur on the banks of river Kaveri. Now this is pretty calm village. However, recently it has hit headlines because the whole village is claimed to be under the Waqf board. Now this is a pretty old temple. This is Chandrasekhara Swami temple in Tiruchendurai village, and this is a very old temple built by Parantaka Chola during Chola period. So very old temple, nearly 1300 years old. Now here are the inscriptions on the wall of this temple about the whole temple, the history, who was the king on that time, how was it built, from where the rocks were brought, who rebuilt this temple, and all those details are given on this inscription. It's a very ancient writing, Tamil writing. This inscription is not found today. It's a modernized version of Tamil is what we write. However, this is the old Tamil inscription which is read by only archaeologists and experts. So we can see a brief history, an ancient history could be seen on the walls of this temple, and it pretty much shows that these temples are not built in the recent times. They are very, very ancient temples, and the people over here claim this cannot be a Waqf board property.
That, viewers, was Bureau Chief Prapanch reporting from the site of this temple. But despite the apparent contradictions, the Waqf has put up posters across the villages claiming no land can be bought or sold without their written consent. Now, Times Now spoke to the Waqf chairperson of the area, who vociferously claims that the land is legally theirs, and this is what he told us.
In order to retrieve all those encroached and alienated land portions and properties, we have given a big list of these detail along with survey numbers and village name and all these kind of things to sub-registers offices of the respective area. One of them is this Tiruchendurai village. Since it is having more than 300 acres, different people will have their own occupied portions in different segments. But this is more than 300 acres. We are not readily having those detailed information. This is available in archive area. So we have requested archive department to furnish all the detail.
Viewers, the Waqf is only exercising sweeping powers that have accrued to it under the Waqf Act. Indeed, while the 1991 Places of Worship Act prevents Hindus from reclaiming temples on Waqf land or those torn down and then built over by mosques, in 1995, in sharp contrast, the Waqf Act was amended to allow the Waqf boards to lay claim under Section 40 Clause 3 to any trust, mutt, akhada and society if it has reasons to believe they are Waqf properties. And viewers, what's more, the entire onus of proving that this is your property before Waqf tribunals, not even a court of law, is upon those whose land has been acquired, taken, claimed. Viewers, these sweeping powers are not in conformity with principles of natural justice. This is because there are no similar laws for followers of Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, Judaism or Christianity or no other faith. Interestingly, there are a whole raft of more sweeping powers that Waqf boards enjoy. Now here are some hard facts, viewers, which I'm going to bring to you, and you might be a bit surprised because remember, no other denomination enjoys these powers. What does Section 40 Clause 3 of the Waqf Act of 1995 says? It says if board has any reason to believe that any registered property of trust society is Waqf's, then it can initiate an inquiry. Waqf can then call for registration of such property under the Waqf Act or Waqf board can call for show cause why such property should not be so registered. Yes, viewers, no one, no other denomination has this power. Section 54 of the Waqf Act of 1995. What does that tell you? In case of encroachment, Waqf's CEO will serve show cause notice and conduct an inquiry. If Waqf's CEO is satisfied that property is Waqf's, he may ask tribunal to order eviction. If they refuse to evict within 45 days, board can take possession of the property. Viewers, no other denomination has the right to clear encroachments. Only the Waqf in this country enjoys this right. Section 101 of the Waqf Act 1995. Survey Commissioner, member and officers of Waqf Board are deemed to be public servants. This is like, viewers, a parallel state. No priest, as I was told today by Vishnu Shankar Jain, no priest, no other Purohit, etc. enjoys the same status of a deemed public servant under the law. Section 107 of the Waqf Act 1995, nothing contained in the Limitation Act 1963 shall apply to any suit for possession of immovable property of Waqf. So they have limitless claim, no time period. They can suddenly turn around and say something that is 400, 500 years old. Well, this is our land. Thank you very much. We are going to notify. We've conducted a survey. If you have a problem, move the tribunal, not even the civil courts, viewers. Section 4, 5 and 6 Waqf Act 1995, state may appoint survey commissioner and additional assistant commissioners for survey of Waqf land. And guess what, viewers? The state will pay for the survey. Now, this is in sharp contrast. If a temple, for example, management wants to know about the status of their lands, they will have to conduct the survey. They will have to pay for their survey. Here, you and I pay for the Waqf survey. Viewers, if this is not an example of special privileges, of unlimited, unbridled powers, reserved only for one side, then I don't know what else is. I want to open this up. We will be joined in a short while by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy. I will bring him into this in just a little while, but I want to first understand what is going on here. Dr. Anand Ranganathan is with us, Vishnu Jain, who is also involved with the Gyanvapi case and has extracted a favorable ruling from the district courts, is also here with us. He has also been puzzled by this, how should one put it, preferential treatment, special status to one side. Now, Dr. Ranganathan, first of all, what do you make of this before I bring in Vishnu Jain to give us an overview of the law?
Good evening, Rahul. Thank you, and welcome to all my fellow co-panelists. Let me be very clear. The Waqf Act is one of 8 reasons why Hindus are, forget about second class, 8th class citizens in their own country. Other 7 reasons briefly are, number 1, Kashmiri Hindus forced to be refugees in their own land. That one can settle 40,000 Rohingyas in Jammu and Kashmir, but not 7 lakh Kashmiri Hindus, the land's original inhabitants. Raped, murdered, pillaged, ethnically cleansed, and then 30 years later, the judiciary says it's too late to prosecute the perpetrators too. Hindu temples being exclusively controlled by the state. Hindus have to beg for Waqf land to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi, their own festival, when the government has usurped hundreds of thousands of acres of temple land and is responsible for more than 100,000 temples losing lakhs of crores in rental income. 3. The draconian RT Act that discriminates shockingly against only Hindus and their schools. 4. State-sponsored publications, naming of roads and cities, organizing of festivals that eulogize monsters like Aurangzeb and Tipu, who perpetrated large-scale Hindu genocide. 5. The drafted communal violence bill, where only the majority, i.e. Hindus, would have been held guilty in a communal riots, even if they were in a minority, for example, in Kashmir. 6. Court judgments like the flawed Sabrimala and legislative enactments like the Hindu Code Bill that exclusively purport to reform only Hindu religious practices but dare not touch practice of other religions, and if they do, their decisions are promptly reversed, like in Shah Bano 7. The barbaric 1991 Place of Worship Act that denies the Hindus their legitimate right to correct historical injustices and reclaim thousands of demolished temples. Let me now briefly address the 8th reason, Rahul, the draconian Waqf Act 1995. Rahul, Waqf is the 3rd largest landowner in India. Some say it is the 2nd largest after only the railways. The land holding is also shockingly pre-independence. 77% of Delhi is on Waqf land, including the Delhi High Court. Please check. Maybe your Times Now studio also might be on Waqf land. Waqf essentially means that any donated property belongs to Allah in perpetuity. हम सारे अल्लाह की देन है. Basically, Waqf Act decides any property adjudged by Muslim law as pious, religious or charitable becomes Waqf. The boards are headed and constituted exclusively by Muslims. Hindus can't get in to decide. Section 28 gives it power to order even a collector. Article 40 gives it power to decide if your land is Waqf or not. Section 54 gives it power to declare you as an encroacher. Waqf tribunal decision can only be overturned by a long and financially draining legal process. Thanks also lately to Supreme Court. Varna wo bhi avenue available nahi tha. Rahul, just 30 seconds. What on earth is going on here? Muslims claimed in the court that Gyanvyapi, built atop a Hindu temple, is on Waqf land. So was the Grand Kashi Vishwanath, demolished by Aurangzeb, also on Waqf land? अरे गंगा जमुना तहजीब बोल बोल के गंगा भी ले ली और यमुना भी. I ask you, how can a 1500-year-old temple, Hindu temple, be adjudged by Waqf to be on Islamic land when Islam is only 1300 years old? Tell me how.
That is precisely what puzzled us so much, and therefore we had Prapanch, our bureau chief, go there and verify it. We thought maybe the villagers were misleading, they were not quite right about the historicity of this temple. But he checked it out for himself, and you saw that report, viewers. Yeah. This is rather bizarre. Now we have with us Vishnu Jain, and we also have with us Abdul Rahman, chairman of the Tamil Nadu Waqf Board. Now, Mr. Rahman, I'm a little surprised by this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the Waqf enjoys certain powers that no other faith management committees of temples, etc. enjoys. One. Two, how does a purportedly 1500-year-old temple now stand on Waqf land? How does this happen, Rahman Saab?
Thank you very much for having given me the opportunity to enlighten certain information. For a long time, after the enactment of Waqf Act in 1954, some of the portions of the Waqf land has been encroached and alienated by some people. In order to retrieve it, we have initiated the first step by giving the list of all the information to respect to the sub-register office to stop transaction like a sale or purchase or exchange. So when we sent the list, some of the properties have been mentioned after village name. So one of the village names is this Trichandurai from Tamil Nadu, Tiruchirappalli district. Okay, this particular Trichandurai village is having 389 acres. Since it is a wider area, in 1954, the survey department of Tamil Nadu government has taken a prop survey, and accordingly they have registered the particular area surface as 389 acres and the village name. Nowadays, the village might have been increased with the surface of another 200 acres or 300 acres by adding all the sites. Now, the name Trichandurai village may be having more than 389 acres, like 500 or 600 acres. Because of the mentioned name as a Trichandurai village with 389 acres, we simply, that list is saying in such a way, after we, only to stop the transactions, after that the scrutiny and inquiry can be carried on. So in the first phase, when we are coming to know that there is a confusion among the people, we have instructed the sub-register office to withhold temporarily till we get a full information from archive department, which may take some time. So once it comes, we will give and we will furnish all the required detail to sub-register office to stop the transactions. we are not having any kind of compromise to withdraw the thing, because government of Tamil Nadu has put with the survey activity of the authenticated surveyors, these 389 acres. Fine. Most of the more number of people may be having the usage of this area,
sir.
and we don't know what are the numbers.
Some of these houses.
Right, one minute.
One second, sir. Please, let me ask you a pointed question.
Here, while there is a temple in such a place, how can we call it belonging to Waqf institution? For your kind information, I am saying all the properties donated by the philanthropists.
Yes. Yes. Have I lost you, Mr. Rahman? Okay, we've just lost that connection. Now, this is bizarre, Dr. Ranganathan. We've heard a very long explanation.
Yes.
But the central question, and I'll tell you something else, Dr. Ranganathan. Some of the houses have been built there under the PM Awas Yojana. Now, do you know, money doesn't automatically pop into anyone's account when they say, oh, can we undertake subsidies under the Awas Yojana? There is a very detailed study that is conducted on the papers, the title deeds, to establish who owns the land. Money would not have been released. So I can't understand, Dr. Ranganathan.
No, this is absolutely crazy and it's so bizarre. The problem, I'll tell you what, Rahul, is that governments are so scared to touch this that they go overboard in placating and appeasing. Now, I'll give you two examples. Is it not a fact, and my good friend Vishnuji will, maybe corroborate me, that when Pakistan was formed and those Muslims who went to Pakistan, their land was given to Waqf, not to the government of India. And as a result, we have huge swathes of land that are now Waqf property. For example, Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium is Waqf property.
When Hindus came from the other side, these were called evacuee properties. When they came from the other side and were settled in these evacuee properties.
Can I come in or not?
Madam, 1 second, just 30 seconds. Let me just establish this. I'll come right out to you, Umanandanji. I'll come out to you. Don't just give me 10 seconds, please.
I had a doubt whether I'm there or not.
You are very much there. Like all of us, even Dr. Swami is waiting. So just give me 30 seconds. Let's just get the story to the viewer. Let him understand. It's a very important issue, viewers. Very, very important issue. Now, what happens is that these evacuee properties were handed to Hindus. Now, suddenly, viewers, after many years, the Waqf has come, knocked on their doors and said, pay us X amount of rent. And now the Hindus don't know what to do.
Yes.
So this is happening a lot in Punjab, Haryana. Bear me out, Vishnuji. What is the problem here? Abdul Rahman says all of this is our land and you can't NOC, etc., etc.
See, I think, Rahul, thank you for having me on the show. I think we are not able to explain the point to Mr. Abdul Rahman ji. Mr. Abdul Rahman ji is arguing within the purview of the Act, while we are saying, how can you have such powers? The point is this, that how can Tamil Nadu Waqf Board have this power to declare an entire village, or forget entire village, a small piece of land also as Waqf property? Show me a single provision under the Indian Trust Act, under the Societies Act, where the Hindus, Jains, Christians, Parsis, Buddhists have this power to declare any property as Waqf property. And that too, Rahul, just understand the draconian nature of this provision, section 40 subclause 3, which you just quoted. The height of domination is so much that they don't have to even inform me that my property has been declared as Waqf property. They will inform the organization where which my property is registered. So, for example, if my property is registered under the Indian Trust Act, they will inform the registrar of the trust, and we know what happens in the registrar of the trust. So, ultimately, my property will be declared as Waqf property. I won't know, and if I don't file any appeal within 1 year, my property is gone. And that's how Mr. I was just hearing Mr. Tamil Nadu Waqf Board's chairperson who was making his submissions. He is arguing within the purview of the Act. We are saying, how can you have such power? That is point number one. Point number two, Rahul, see the other draconian nature of this Waqf Act. Entire Punjab and Haryana, and out of my professional experience I am telling this on your channel, entire Punjab and Haryana is burning because the lands which belong to Hindus were custodian properties of the central government. In 1984, the Rajiv Gandhi government gave all those property to the Waqf board, and now the Waqf board was initially taking meager amount of rent. So the Hindus didn't mind it. Now they are asking for 25,000, 30,000 of rent, and now we have awakened. Now the point is हम अब जागे हैं. जब हमसे इतना रेंट मांग रहे तब पता चला कि केंद्र सरकार ने सारी प्रॉपर्टी वक्फ बोर्ड को दे दी है. Now the problem is this: how can you have such power? And Rahul, let me ask you one question. क्या मेरे किसी पुजारी को, पुरोहित को, शंकराचार्य को पब्लिक सर्वेंट का दर्जा है क्या? If I slap a person of a Mutwalli or anyone under section 101, it's an offense under section 21 of the IPC. So this is shocking. Under section 107, the Waqf board has the power to declare there is no limitation for Waqf board. You can come to the court at any point of time, and for Hindu deities there are limitations under law. Section 89, you have to give notice to them if you have to file a case against them, just like a parallel government.
Well,
all these provisions are
very important
in
questions.
clear violation of Article 14 and Article 21 and Article 300A of the Constitution.
Well, let me tell you, viewers, in just a few days, the Supreme Court is going to be hearing a petition that has been filed by Ashwini Upadhyay. That matter, challenging these sweeping powers, is going to be heard by the Supreme Court. Uma Anandan, do you today support what Abdul Rahman, even if he is speaking, by invoking the provisions of the law? Are you satisfied by his response? If not, why?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I would like to ask one particular question. First is, as you all told, abolish the Waqf Act of 1995. It is draconian in nature. First, I would like to ask Mr. Rahman, that temple was built by Parandaga Chola. First, it was only stone, and there is an inscription there which says, Rajaraja Chola's sister, Kundavai Piratiyar, the inscription says she has given about 400 acres of land. And always remember, I would like to ask Mr. Rahman whether the Vijayalaya Cholas sold the temple and its properties to the Waqf board. I want to ask him that. And they have started this everywhere now. In Avinashi, Coimbatore, they have started. Then they have started in Viluppuram district also this. This is, I think there is an ulterior motive in this. The powers to be which are ruling Tamil Nadu today are using the Waqf board now to get their hands on the prime properties, threaten the people that it belongs to Waqf, so that they sell it at a cheaper rate and go away. So there is I suspect a sinister motive behind this. Sudden onslaught of the Waqf board. I would like to ask Mr. Rahman this. There is not much of a Muslim population in that area, even if you come by that. Definitely you will all agree. The Vijayalaya Cholas, the Pandyas and the Cheras, and the Pandyas, the two people, they would not have sold their land on which they built temples to the Waqf board. I suppose you will all agree with that. There cannot be any second two thoughts on that.
Respond,
so
Mr. Rahman.
Definitely, this 1995 Act of the Waqf
Respond to Uma Anandan.
should be totally abolished, and they have not given to the registrar the survey numbers.
Okay.
They have given only a sweeping statement. They have only given. So tomorrow I go and say that this land belongs to Kapalishwara, Lord Kapalishwara. Do I get the same benefit that he is getting today? The deity, and mind you, the Hindu deity is a perpetual minor, and his property cannot be alienated. Those laws are not taken into account, while the Waqf board laws are taken into account.
Okay, let me bring in
injustice to the Hindus?
Mr. Rahman, quick response to Uma Anandan before I bring in the two other lawyers.
One thing you please.
Their religion is
Let him respond. Umaji, let him respond.
Due to network problem, I couldn't hear properly. Even then, I am supposed to give one particular detail. Because of a land belonging to Waqf institution, it doesn't mean that Hindus should not live or Hindus should not get benefit out of it. We welcome it. We appreciate it.
This is shocking.
If there is any kind of issue, we should not color it with any religion or community or caste or race. We came across a certain document having a very broader area belonging to Waqf institution is having a temple because the donor has allocated the space for the establishment of the temple and its ponds.
Let him finish.
It is a generous attitude.
No, don't try to be.
So you're saying that someone donated the temple?
Get rid of the Soviet and thou attitude.
See, according to the document preserved by the government.
One second, let me bring in. One second, let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. He has a point to make. Yes, Mr. Ranganathan.
See, only
Mr. Rahman.
You don't have to fear. We might own the land, but you don't have to fear.
Out of the big surface of the land donated for Waqf institution.
No, please, Mr. Rahman, please allow me.
That a particular portion.
Please allow me to
temple.
Yes.
Of a temple.
You've been very
appreciate.
Mr. Rahman, listen to the response. Dr. Ranganathan wants to respond. Uma Anandan wants to respond in that order. Dr. Ranganathan, yes.
No, I first of all, I am thankful that Mr. Rahman is very cogent and he brought out all his points very articulately. But I must disagree vehemently. He is being so patronizing. He is saying land hamara hai, lekin Hindus are most welcome to use it. Tomorrow he will say Hindus can't use it because that is exactly what has happened on Gyan Vyapi.
As if it's
Gyan Vyapi, no, madam, please don't interrupt. Uma ji, please, I beg you, because it's a very important point I'm making. Thank you. This is exactly what has happened in Gyan Vyapi. Muslims in court, and Vishnu ji will bear me out. Muslims in court are saying that Gyan Vyapi is on Waqf board land. Please, Mr. Rahman, tell me, wasn't Gyan Vyapi built on Hindu land by demolishing a Hindu temple? So isn't Gyan Vyapi on Hindu land? Say yes or no. If you have the guts, sir.
Tawseef Saab, would you like to respond? You are making some comments against Dr. Ranganathan. Why don't you articulate them? Tawseef Saab, go ahead. You're a lawyer.
Yes.
Do you believe that the law should be so lopsided
I said
that the spirit of Article 14 and 21 is violated? Do you agree that only special powers should be vested with Waqfs? You're a lawyer, sir. You please tell me. Speak about the law.
There is no need. You see, no need to invoke Article 14 and other articles of Constitution. The ownership concept in law is very clear. If Mr. Dr. Ranganathan owns a piece of land, he would want that after his death it should go to his children, and then after the death of their children it should go to their children. That is the perpetuity. That is the legal nature of the ownership. Now the ownership of Waqf land, all the Waqf land, the ownership vests with the Waqf board. The management vests with the Waqf board and the ownership vests with Allah. It's just like a trust. If Mr.
Tawseef Saab, you're not answering the question I've asked you. Should there be? Yes, Vishnu Jain. Vishnu Jain wants to make an intervention.
I am just asking Tawseef bhai, please tell me a particular section, and I will not even utter a single word after that. Please show me a section in the Indian Trust Act or the Societies Act where a similar provision like section 40 subclause 3 is there. Now today we are debating how can Waqf board have such a power? No one is answering this question. My point is this, and this I am shouting, and we are running a campaign with Mr. Puspen Kulshist from 2013, that how can Waqf board enjoy such kind of draconian power? This is the point. And Rahul, let me tell you, I'll give you one example. I'll give you one example. Chandrasekhar Azad Park in Allahabad.
Now you are done. Let me address that. Let me address that concern. Let me address that concern.
Mathura has been declared as
Okay,
property.
listen to him. Mr. Ahmed wants to respond to you. Yes, Tawseef Saab.
This gentleman.
Yes. Don't make a personal. He never attacked you personally, so don't make any personal comment.
With section 40.
Yeah.
He said, he is making the point. He is making the point that he is not happy with section 40 of Waqf Act. Right. That is his case. Then the proper forum to raise this case is the court. The court will decide that.
Mr. Ahmed, the question is,
I may have a lot of problem with a lot of provisions of the law.
Mr. Ahmed, 1 second.
Lot of the provisions of the law is there. It has to be interpreted by the court.
Okay, but Mr. Ahmed,
it has to be interpreted by the court. Now, anyone sitting in Times Now debate is not a judge and is neither a court.
Mr. Ahmed, do you support this inequity in law?
Excuse?
Do you believe that one side should get preferential treatment under the law in a secular nation? This is a very simple question to you. You're a man. You're a student of the law.
This should not be allowed.
No, you are a student of the law. I'm only asking you, in your own judgment, forget about the others. In your own judgment, do you believe that one side should be getting preferential treatment under the law, treatment that no one else can avail of? Simple question. Do you think it should be done away with in a secular nation?
That reminds me. It's good, Rahul. It's good that you talked about preferential treatment, because I am quoting you verbatim. Okay. You said, viewers, you and I pay for Waqf surveys. Now that's the biggest lie that you can, as an anchor, say in this channel.
How come?
Waqf board has its own income from the properties, from the rental income, and it meets its expenses through those income. Even as Mr. Ranganathan said, Delhi High Court is on Waqf land. The famous Saket Mall is also on the Waqf land. The Kolkata Governor is also Waqf land. Kolkata Quest Mall is also Waqf land. These are Waqf land, and there are ways to take lease. These land are taken on lease. These land are taken on license. These land can be used and utilized subject to payment.
This is a sworn statement before the Supreme Court
from the Waqf Board.
That is the scheme of the law. If you have a problem with the scheme of the law, go and challenge it in the court. Muslim advocate, Muslim scholar, Mutawallis are paid from the public exchequer. Though center and state doesn't collect 1 rupee from any mosque, mazar and dargah. On the other hand, center and state collect around 1 lakh crore rupees from 4 lakh temples, but there are no similar provisions for Hindus. Thus the Act offends Article 27 also.
Now you are misleading your viewers.
I am not misleading anybody. Let's quote to you. Section
propaganda needs
2, 3 and 4. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in. Yes, okay. And on the point of law. Yes, on the point of law first. Vishnu Satyesham Hashmi also listening. Yes.
I am saying something else to Tausif Bhai. Tausif Bhai just said that you have blatantly said something which is against the record. Tausif Bhai, please see section 4, 5 and 6. The expense of this survey has to be borne by the state government, and this survey happens every 10 years.
Please come to court. Please come
after every 10 years. This survey happens.
Can I please come in?
And the expense of this survey has to be borne by the state exchequer.
A panelist who is a student of the law doesn't want to answer the basic question that was asked, which is, should there be an iniquity such as this perpetuated under the Indian Constitution? He will not answer. Dr. Ranganathan, 1 second.
I just want to read. He said that you have said against the record.
Yes.
Section 8, sir. Tausif Bhai, you are a lawyer. State government to bear cost of survey. The total cost of making a survey, including the cost of publication of the list of Waqf under this chapter, shall be borne by the state government.
Don't pay attention to Mr. Ahmed. He routinely comes out and fudges on national TV, so it's okay. Dr. Ranganathan wants to come in.
Yes.
Section 8,
I hope I will not be interrupted. I did not interrupt.
Jokers are sitting on the channel.
Jokers. Look at the contempt. The man gets personal when he loses an argument. It's okay, sir. It's okay. Let me be today charitable to you and say we excuse you for trying to mislead all of us. It's okay. We excuse you. We understand your compulsion. 1 minute. Now listen to Dr. Ranganathan. Yes.
Rahul, Tausif Ahmed was saying, accusing you.
Compulsion from BJP.
I'm used to it, Dr. Ranganathan. Don't waste your breath on defending me. I'm used to it. I have my facts. I come very prepared for this show. I don't sit here and gas on a news channel. Okay, Dr. Ranganathan, make your point. I think you had a very important point to make. Yes. Don't get sidelined. Yes, important.
Yes, no, I never get sidelined from people who are on the sidelines. But the fact of the matter is, he's been brutally exposed. Now, will you please be quiet?
State government.
Rahul, you have to fade him out like this.
Now listen to Dr. Ranganathan. He has a point. Ehtesham Hashmi is also there waiting for us. We can't keep making him wait.
Repeatedly go on saying,
Mr. Ahmed, please.
Rahul,
you are talking for
Rahul. You know he will not let me speak. So
okay,
can I please request you?
This will not go on.
Yes.
More than 3 seconds. 1.
Sir,
2, 3.
Who appoints the Waqf board?
Down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Doctor. Yes.
Yes. Thank you for fading Tausif out like his fledgling career. No, he has been exposed brutally. The state, as the Waqf Act itself says, has to pay for all the survey, as Vishnuji has said. Number 2, it is not about go to court. Of course, people will go to court. And let Vishnuji correct me if I am mistaken. As late as 10 years ago, people who were at the rough end of the stick of Waqf could not actually approach the court. The tribunal decisions were final. It is only when Supreme Court said no, we are the final and binding authority, that people could actually dispute the decisions of the tribunal. Itna draconian hai. And lastly, You know, they say law may be an ass. I don't know whether law is an ass or not, but evidently some lawyers are. It is not the question of going to court. It is something which is commonsensical. Please explain to me, how is Gyan Vyapi, which was built by demolishing a Hindu temple which was built on Hindu land, how is it on Waqf land?
They'll tell you
Please
it's a
ask them,
donation.
Rahul.
They'll tell you it's a donation. It's okay. Let's not rack our minds. Let the authorities now look into this. The authorities, by the way, will be the tribunal set up by the Waqf board. So I don't know how this works. It's really circular. 1 minute. Dr. Subramaniam Swami now joins us. I'm coming to Umanandan. Give me 30 seconds, please. We've already lost Mr. Hashmi, not given a chance because we caught up. We were caught up by Mr. Ahmed, who was sidetracking the conversation. Okay, Dr. Swami, thank you very much for speaking to me. I want to ask you, how do you view the sweeping manner in which the Waqf has claimed land in Trichy, engulfing several villages? Sir.
Well, if your people in power have come to elections by relying on their votes, you should expect that they would demand that. But there's a way of the central government putting a check on it, and that is to invoke Article 25, which allows the government for placing reasonable restrictions on the activities of religious bodies, including temples. So far, Indian government since 1947, and of course the British government before, had only put restrictions on temples, and they have not touched either a church or a Waqf board or a masjid, although masjid is not a religious place, it's actually a place to read namaz. But nevertheless, it's a part of the religious establishment of Islam. And I think the government should actually and can take over the non-religious activities of the Waqf. And this takeover of this land is in fact a non-religious activity.
Okay, well, look, there are of course many views. The matter is going to now be heard by the Supreme Court. Yes. 1 second, Vishnuji, 1 second. Let me just ask another question of Dr. Swami. Dr. Swami, the Waqf been empowered by laws that seem to have been passed, I don't know, to favor one community over the other. Do you agree with this? Do you think that there is something problematic here?
Of course, it has always been that. I'm not surprised that in Congress regimes this kind of thing would happen, because they were perhaps the most, from the day one, they were the most compliant party for the Muslim organizations. And these sections that you quote, this must be from the Waqf Act, I'm sure. Is that it, or you're quoting from something else?
Waqf Act.
What where are these sections from?
Waqf Act. Yes.
In any case, if it's an act,
yes,
under which they have invoked these powers, that means it can be overruled by a constitutional provision.
Yes.
And Article 25 and 26 would overrule it without any difficulty.
Absolutely. Dr. Swami, I think, has, as usual, hit the nail on the head, saying that the time has come, perhaps, for the centre to look at this. Amended in Parliament. Yes, Vishnu Jain?
I have one very small solution
to
this entire debate.
Yeah.
And if this goes well with the government, and I am assuring you, Rahul, that if this suggestion is accepted, there will be nothing, no one can oppose this suggestion.
No one can oppose.
The suggestion is this.
Umanandan, very quickly, BJP should take this up with the central leadership.
I have just a suggestion. I have one amendment to this entire act, and this entire act will fail.
Convey my birthday greetings to Dr. Swami.
I am just solving this entire problem, Rahul, today.
Okay.
My solution is this, that the central... Ma'am,
Namaskaram. She's saying Namaskaram. Okay, yes.
The central government must come with an amendment saying that the Waqf Act will not apply to non-Muslims.
Well,
end of the story.
Viewers,
end of the story.
Viewers, let's hope that the central government is also hearing this. And Times Now is going to continue this campaign. We are being inundated with complaints that have come in of encroachments by the Waqf board, not the other way around. And we will be playing them out now, sending our reporting teams. This is a Times Now special investigation, viewers. We're going to go length and breadth of this country, get out these cases, these unheard voices, and put them on Times Now. We'll move on, viewers. We'll move on because there has been high drama once again in the union capital. The BJP is up the ante against Kejriwal government over alleged liquor scam, releasing a second sting video featuring accused number 9 in the CBI case, Amit Arora. This is what they are saying. In the purported sting video, Arora is heard talking about a fixed commission being paid by liquor firms. He claims that the liquor giants paid up to rupees 100 crore each to be able to do business. Arora also said that restrictions were placed in the policy which blocks small players, and as a result businesses worth 10,000 crores went to just 2 liquor firms. In another scathing claim, Arora said that the money paid by liquor firms was used for AAP's poll campaign, Punjab and Goa. Listen to this, viewers. Listen to this.
तो दिल्ली का जो है ये ब्रांड को अमनदीप डाल है, उसके बाद आपका ये दीवान स्पिरिट वाला, इंडो स्पिरिट, महादेव वाले पैसे तुमने जब बताया था, आप बताए गए थे कि
देखो जी, पैसा है इंडो स्पिरिट वाला तो 100 करोड़ रुपए एडवांस देके बैठे थे। वो तो कहते थे 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग की है, 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग की है, ठीक है। वो तो सबको ही बोलते थे कि जी, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ा धंधा उसी के पास था। अब 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग में भी एक ये भी ब्लैक और व्हाइट करने का धंधा है। भाई आप 100 रुपए आज किसी को एडवांस में दे दो, कैश आपके में, मेरे घर में कैश पड़ा, मैंने किसी को 100 रुपए एडवांस में दे दिया, अब वापस आने मेरे पास सारे व्हाइट में, ये तो कैश व्हाइट टू ब्लैक की कन्वर्जन भी होगी जिस जो कैश दे रहा है। क्योंकि अगर मेरे पास कैश पड़ा, मैंने आपको एडवांस दे दिया, अब आप मेरे को व्हाइट में वापस आता रहेगा, फिक्स धंधा, फिक्स मार्जिन दे दिया। उसके बाद अमंडल 60-70 करोड़ रुपए जो मार्केट में है, उसने अमंडल ने दिए 60 करोड़ रुपए। सारे बोलते, क्योंकि हर आदमी बोलता था ना कि हमें भी धंधा दे दो, वो बोलते थे इतने रुपए देने, किसी को पैसे देने की हिम्मत नहीं। अब हमारे पास कहां से आएंगे पैसे इतने? ऐसे ही महादेव लिकर है, वो महादेव लिकर ने भी इतने पैसे दिए, 50 करोड़ की फिगर थी मार्केट में, और 50 करोड़ दिए भी है, उसके बिना धंधा नहीं मिल सकता उसके बिना। ऐसे ही वो दीवान स्पिरिट है, उसका धंधा इनसे थोड़ा सा छोटा था, तो उसने 30 करोड़ रुपए दिए। बस यही, ये मतलब, और इसके सिवाय ये तो सिर्फ, ये तो मतलब ऐसा है कि जिसके मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ ना कि अगर आप एक्साइज में जाके मतलब आंख बंद करके भी पत्थर मारोगे, उसको पता है, हर आदमी को पता है बात। मतलब इसमें तो कुछ है ही नहीं है, मतलब ये तो मतलब नॉर्मल इंफॉर्मेशन, मतलब ऐसा मतलब तो कभी सुना ही नहीं था कि ऐसा कभी हुआ आज तक।
तो अमंडल तो पंजाब में ही अभी,
अमंडल और एक अनंत वाइन्स, 2 आदमियों को 10,000 करोड़ रुपए का धंधा 2 आदमी को दे दिया। कैसे दे दिया जी? आप मेरे को बताओ, हरियाणा के अंदर पॉलिसी है, एक शहर में 6 एलवन होते हैं। कंपटीशन क्या करता है? अगर एक दुकानदार ने या एक कस्टमर ने खरीदनी है, 6 दुकानें हैं, तो उसको तो फायदा ही मिलेगा ना। क्यों दी 2 आदमियों को? मतलब कोई रीजन तो बताओ कि ये 2 आदमी ही क्यों करेंगे? आप क्यों नहीं दे देते हर शहर में 2 आदमियों को, ताकि कंपटीशन, कस्टमर के लिए तो कंपटीशन ज्यादा अच्छी बात है। आप बोल रहे हो, लोग कहते हैं कंपटीशन क्रिएट करो, आप कह रहे हो रिस्ट्रिक्शन क्रिएट कर दो। ऐसी रिस्ट्रिक्शन क्रिएट कर दी, 2 आदमियों को सारा धंधा दे दिया। आज की डेट में अमंडल प्रिंट को और अनंत वाइन्स पंजाब में जिस भी रिटेलर का धंधा बंद करा सकते हैं, जिसको ना माल दें उसकी दुकान बंद हो जाएगी, वो बेचारा पैसे देके मर जाएगा। आप और अच्छा, आप इसमें मेरे से नहीं, पंजाब के किसी भी रिटेलर से जो बताने की हिम्मत करेगा उससे पूछ लो।
तो इंडो स्पिरिट बताइए।
ये जो अमंडल है वो ब्रिंडको है, और जो समीर महेंद्रो इंडो स्पिरिट है, मैडम चड्डा महादेव लिकर है, और जो ये है क्या कहते हैं,
इनका
अरुण पिल्लई है।
बनाए कितना होगा
अरे आप पैसा तो, मतलब मैं बता रहा हूँ, अगर कोई बंदा ड्रग्स भी बेचे तो भी इतने पैसे नहीं बना सकता। 10 करोड़ रुपए भी लगाए होंगे और 150 करोड़ रुपए कमाए हैं अभी तक। और ये सारा सिर्फ ये पैसा कमाने का तरीका नहीं था, ये एक और तरीका था। क्या किया? 100 करोड़ रुपए एडवांस दे दिए कैश में। इन्होंने 100 करोड़ रुपए अपने इलेक्शन में लगा दिए, कहीं भी हरियाणा पंजाब में इलेक्शन में लगा दिए, गोवा में लगा दिए। लेकिन अब जब वो पैसा वापस आ रहा है, पहली पॉलिसी है जिसके अंदर इन्होंने लिख दिया जी कि इस पैसे को आपको 12% देना ही पड़ेगा। नहीं तो क्या होता है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर और एक रिटेलर का या डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर और एक कंपनी का रिलेशनशिप, वो दोनों आपस में डिसाइड करते हैं।
सिसोदिया तो इसमें बहुत बनाया हुआ सरकार ने, इनकी पार्टी।
अब देखो जी, अब सिंपल सी बात है, ये कम से कम नहीं तो 3-4 हजार करोड़ की तो ये होलसेल पे प्राइस पे कर गए। उसके अंदर मरे भी 300-400-500 करोड़ पे तो बना ही लिया होगा। बाकी तो अब उसके सिवाय क्या किया भाई? इतना तो सबको, इतना तो मतलब कॉमन सेंस की बात है, इसमें तो कुछ है ही नहीं है।
It's a video, of course, released by the Bharatiya Janata Party viewers, and Manish Sisodia came out and said that if this particular video is true, if what this individual is saying is true, if he is who he is, that is accused number 9, then within 4 days I dare the BJP to arrest me. If they don't arrest me in 4 days, you can all think that this was once again propaganda from the dirty tricks department of the BJP. Is this a response which is credible, which stands the test, or as the BJP says, this is a dare being used to deflect by the Aam Aadmi Party? Let's open this up. I want to go straight across to Priyadarshini Singh first. Priyadarshini Singh, political analyst, sympathetic to the AAP. This is an open and shut case now. Can you hear me? You have a person stung, according to the BJP, as accused number 9.
I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Clearly.
Yes. You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
See, what you are saying is
Yes.
it cannot be an open and shut case.
Okay.
Yeah, now your voice is not so audible to me. Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. You are. You are audible. I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. You know what? This cannot be an open and shut case. Please do not have a preconceived notion about it. What we are seeing, a random person like a dummy sitting there and talking anything and accusing about anything. So whatever they feel like. So what is the agenda? Now we are talking about two parties here. The one party who has an agenda, that is Aam Aadmi Party, who has a clear agenda of giving good governance to the people. And now we are talking about another party whose only agenda to have lotus mission everywhere. For that they can do anything. Are we talking about the party whose LG, which is being is being given by a parachute, or been actually been given to Delhi government by a parachute by Delhi center government to only give a command to our Delhi Chief Minister Mr. Arvind Kejriwal to how to do the governance of the people, who himself has been accused for 1400 crores of scam in Khadi Gram. So I would rather say that this is another sting, a fake sting, which has been done by Bharatiya Janata Party, and which is they do, which is the work they do.
Okay.
They like doing it.
Let
this
me
is
bring
what
in-
their agenda is.
Let me bring in the BJP. GVL Narasimha Rao, fake sting, dirty tricks. Sisodia says, if I'm guilty and if you think that this particular sting suggests that, arrest me within 4 days. Otherwise, don't keep yakking on.
Can't listen.
Rahul, good evening to you and all the
Good evening,
viewers. The accused, who is the accused in this case, the Aam Aadmi Party government, Mr. Manish Sisodia as Deputy Chief Minister and the concerned minister, he is only trying to show false bravado by making such silly statements. I think the person who's speaking on the tape, who has been stung, is an accused in this case. As the lady on the panel says, he's not somebody random person on the street. He's accused number 9. His name is Amit Arora, and he's a conduit for all the payments. He's saying how 60 crores was paid by company A, how 100 crores was paid by company B. The names are mentioned in this entire audio. How Brindco, Amandeep Dhal and Indo Spirit Samir Mahendru, how they gave money which was used to bankroll, which was used to spend money in the elections in Punjab and Goa. It cannot be any more specific than this. After this, what you expected from Aam Aadmi Party government is an unconditional apology. And what is this action? Now what, Gujarat? I think, come on, don't joke. People will laugh at you. Don't joke. I think Gujarat, you are nowhere in the scene. You are winning Gujarat as you have won Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand.
I am
you
not
are nowhere
joking.
in the
I
scene.
am not
Stop
joking.
making these claims to sidetrack the real issues. Mr. Manish Sisodia should tell the people of Delhi.
When we talk about
let's not speak over each other, please.
The people of Delhi, why he is not acting against this thing.
Now in Maharashtra, no, sorry.
Come on, 1 second. Let me bring in Dr. Ranganathan. Let me also bring in Dr. Ranganathan, the citizen's voice. Citizen's voice. The real Aam Aadmi here. Let me bring him in. Doctor, go ahead.
Thank you. Rahul, on a very lighter note, the logic provided by the AAP spokesperson seems to have benefited from the rather lax liquor policy, because they have 3 points to make. Number one, the fact of the matter is that AAP is worried because, as you know, the ED conviction rate is 0.5%, but the CBI conviction rate is 70%. I'm sure they must rather be, hoping that ED had raided Mr. Sisodia and not CBI. Number two, is it not a fact that Arvind Kejriwal came up on a plank of corruption and became hugely successful, and his clarion call was, आपको कोई घूस दे, आप चुपचाप स्टिंग बना लो और उसको ब्रॉडकास्ट कर दो. Now, ma'am, please don't
करो.
From the country.
Please,
ma'am, don't interrupt. Please, don't interrupt him. Don't. That's not fair. No one interrupted you. Please don't interrupt him and eat up time. Please, that's not fair. Don't interrupt him, please.
To only get them busy.
Ma'am, counting till 3, I'm lowering your fader. 1.
No, sir, they're using government machinery. Let me come.
3.
Sir, they're using.
That's it. Yeah. Yes,
Thank you.
Dr. Rangana.
Yes, so it basically BJP is throwing back at AAP what has been AAP's clarion call, कि बेतहाशा without any regulation लोगों का sting करो और उसको open में लाओ या हमें दो, हम broadcast करेंगे और action लेंगे. So for AAP to accuse BJP of publicizing sting is again hypocrisy. And number 3, which is very important, AAP spokesperson and others have alleged that it is a government policy decision, hence it is above corruption, because their logic is कि जब पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ाती और घटाती गवर्नमेंट है, क्या वो करप्शन नहीं है? By that logic, any policy decision that the government make would be above reproach. That's like regularizing insider trading. That's ridiculous. Any government policy has to be investigated whether it was corrupt or not.
Okay. Well, viewers, I leave it at this. I can only say one thing, that the test now is whether there is a case which can be brought before the courts, and if so, if the CBI that has a conviction rate of 70% is confident, then it should do what follows next. Take into custody, begin the questioning, frame the charges, take it to the court, hope that the court accepts those charges, and then, viewers, then bring in prosecution. The sooner, the better. Delhi deserves it, taxpayers deserve it. I leave it at this.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
night, viewers.
Amid the ongoing fracas, the Karnataka Legislative Council passed the anti-conversion bill by a voice vote after the Congress staged a walkout. In the midst of Bharat Jodo Yatra, the Enforcement Directorate issued a fresh summons to Karnataka Congress Chief DK Shivkumar in a money laundering case. After all the twist and turn in the Sonali Fogart case, CBI has taken over the case from Goa Police. Mizoram Chief Minister called on Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in Delhi and discussed issues including the Northeast state's strategic importance. Kerala passed a resolution stating Sonia Gandhi is authorized to unanimously decide and nominate PCC President and elect AICC members. Minority Department team conducted a survey of unrecognized madrasa on Nadwa College campus. Team of officers reached the madrasa and collected info as per the 12-point format made by the department. High drama at Kola's Huhalli. BJP's Vartur Prakash supporters and Congress supporters clashed over inspection of a dairy by officials. 3 people with stab injuries have been hospitalized. Heavy security deployed at the location.
Gentlemen, tonight on the Newshour we bring you a Times Now special investigation report from Tamil Nadu's Thiruchendurai, where residents of 6 Hindu-dominated villages are today running from pillar to post, fighting to reclaim land that has been in their families for generations. Yes, in this place in Trichy, 6 villages have been taken away from the inhabitants. These villagers woke up to a rude shock when they were told that their land actually belongs to the Waqf board. Times Now spoke to these hapless villagers who show us proof of their land ownership for decades and for generations. Today they ask, how can our homes be snatched away from us? But that's not all, viewers. These not only have been their ancestral land but allegedly have been grabbed. But the Waqf has also staked claim to their temples. Let's listen in to these shocking tales of treachery and deceit where not just homes but even a 1500-year-old temple has been claimed by the Waqf board.
சார் எங்களுக்கு தெரிய இப்போ கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 10 நாள் ஆகுது. இந்த 10 நாளில் ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸ்க்கு ஒருத்தர் லேண்ட் ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ண போகிறப்ப தான் விற்க போகிறப்ப தான் இந்த விஷயமே எல்லாமே ஹோல் திருச்செந்துறையே இந்த வக்பு வாரியத்துக்கு கீழே வந்திருக்கு அப்படின்றத ஒரு விஷயத்த எங்களுக்கு சொன்னாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் நாங்கள் இதை பற்றி அதுக்கடுத்து ஆராய ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது தான் அடுத்து பக்கத்தில் உள்ள கடியாகுறிச்சி மேக்குடி பஞ்சாயத்து கடியாகுறிச்சி கிராமம் இதெல்லாம் ஃபுல்லாகவே வக்பு வாரிய கமிட்டிக்கு கீழே இருக்குது, அவங்களோட சொத்து அப்படின்ற மாதிரி சொல்லியிருந்தாங்க. நாங்கள் மேற்கொண்டு அந்த ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரார்கிட்ட என்ன விஷயம், ஏன் இது மாதிரி இதுக்கான காரணம் திடீர்னு இது கிட்டத்தட்ட 2800 வருஷத்துக்கு மேலே மன்னர்களாட்சி காலத்தில் இருந்து இங்கே இந்துக்கள் இப்படி தான் நாங்கள் இருந்துட்டு இருக்கோம்.
ஆமாம், ரொம்ப மனசு கஷ்டமாயிருச்சு. ஏன்னா நாங்கள் டாக்குமெண்ட் எல்லாமே இருக்குதுங்க சார், எங்ககிட்ட நிறைய இருக்கு. எங்கள் மாமியார் பேரில் இருந்து மாமனார் பேர், மாமியார் பேர், எங்கள் வீட்டுக்காருக்கு பேர், அதுக்கப்புறம் என் பேரில் இருக்குங்க சார். என் பேருக்கு இப்போ இவ்வளோ தூரம் எப்படி வந்ததுன்னு எனக்கே தெரியல. இப்போ இவ்வளோ தூரம் இருந்திருந்தா எங்கள் பேர்லலாம் வராது இல்லைங்களா, எங்கள் பேருக்குலாம் வந்துருச்சு. அப்படி இருந்து எப்படி சார் அது அவங்களுக்கு சொந்தமாக ஆகும் அப்படிங்கிறது தான் இப்போ மன குலைச்சல் ஆயிடுச்சுங்க எங்களுக்கு.
Times Now traveled to this temple which is said to be 1300 years old, dating back to the Chola era. Listen in to the pujari of the mandir who testifies to the temple's claim.
இதுவுமே இந்த ஊர் மக்களுக்கு தெரியவே தெரியாது. இப்போ ஒரு 10 தினங்களாலாம் வக்போர்டை பற்றி வெளியில் இந்த ஊருக்காரர் ஒருத்தர் ரெஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸுக்கு ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ண போகும்போது ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ண முடியாது, வக்போர்டு ஸ்டே வாங்கியிருக்காங்க. அவங்க 1962 நாங்கள் இந்த கிராமத்தை ரிஜிஸ்டர் செய்து விட்டோம், எங்களுக்கு வக்போர்டுக்கு என்று ரிஜிஸ்டர் செய்து விட்டோம் என்று சொல்கிறார்கள். அதற்கு பிறகு 75 அதை 1975 ரெனிவல் செய்துள்ளோம் என்று சொல்கிறார்கள். இது எல்லாமே பஞ்சாயத்து பிரசிடென்ட்டும் எக்ஸ் பிரசிடென்ட்டும் நேரடியாக ரிஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸில் போய் அவங்க அது ஆதாரத்தை கேட்கும்போது இந்த மாதிரி அவங்க வக்போர்டு கொடுத்துருக்காங்க, அதனால நாங்கள் ரிஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணலை, எங்களுக்கு ஜிஓலாம் கிடையாது என்று ரிஜிஸ்டர் ஆஃபீஸில் சொன்னதாக எங்களுக்கு தெரியப்படுத்தினார்கள். ஆனால் வக்போர்டை விட்டு இந்த கிராமம் திருச்செந்துறையும் கடியாகுறிச்சி கிராமத்தும் வக்போர்டு இருக்கிறது என்பதுதான் அவர்கள் இன்னும் சொல்லிக் கொண்டிருக்கிறார்கள். ஆகையினால் எங்கள் ஊர் மக்களுக்கு இந்த கிராமத்தையும் இந்த சிவன் கோயிலையும் வக்போர்டில் இருந்து மீட்டு இந்துக்களாகிய எங்களுக்கு இதை சாதகமாக்கி தருமாறு நாங்கள் ஊர் மக்கள் சார்பில் கேட்டுக்கொள்கிறோம்.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the reality. These villagers today have been betrayed and dispossessed of their own land. Waqf has in fact put up posters across the 6 villages claiming that no land can be bought or sold without the consent of the Waqf board. We also spoke to the Waqf board chairman who unabashedly claimed that the land is theirs. Let's listen into that.
In order to retrieve all those encroached and alienated land portions and properties, we have given a big list of these detail along with survey numbers and village name and all these kind of things to sub-registers offices of the respective area. One of them is this Trichendurai area, Trichendurai village. Since it is having more than 300 acres, different people will have their own occupied portions in different segments. But this is more than 300 acres. We are not readily having those detailed information. This is available in archive area. So we have requested archive department to furnish all the detail.
But could this have happened right under the nose of the state without its knowledge? Times Now spoke to the Trichy collector, who says there wasn't really any problem to begin with. So no problem, nothing needs to be solved. Listen in.
See, Waqf Board has sent a list where the village name and the extent is mentioned, but without mentioning the survey number. So based on that, our sub-registers has just stopped the registration, and we have got the clarification from the Waqf Board. The village name without mentioning the survey number, the communication sent by the Waqf Board to the sub-register will be withheld. So as of now, there is no problem. So anybody can register in that particular villages.
Now you must be wondering, viewers, how could this all have happened and how the Waqf Board could have usurped the land of these villagers? Well, the truth is that even as the Places of Worship Act doesn't give the freedom to change the religious character of religious places, i.e. possibly masjids, the 1995 Waqf Act, 4 years after the Places of Worship Act came in and gave enormous powers to the Waqf Board. The Act says that if the board has any reason to believe that any registered property of a trust or society is theirs, then they can initiate an inquiry into it. This is the Waqf Board Act, Clause 40, Subclause 3. The Waqf Board Act can also then call for registration of such property under the Waqf Act itself. It's easy and simple for the board. Even eviction notices can be sent to those deemed to be squatters. That's what the Waqf Act says. Let's get you some facts which will show you the extent of the properties that the Waqf Board has acquired over the years across India. It has the third highest landholder after the railways and the Ministry of Defence is the Waqf Board. 6.5 lakh acres, in fact 6.5 lakh properties are presently registered with the Waqf Board. Meanwhile, 8 lakh acres of land is presently registered with the Waqf, and that is something that has been made as a petition in the Supreme Court by Ashwini Upadhyay, an advocate who's fighting this case. Who gave these sweeping powers to the Waqf Board that villages after villages have been accessed? That, ladies and gentlemen, brings me to the legitimate question on the Newshour tonight. Is it time to end Waqf special status? That's the question and that's the debate. Wet Waqf land grab, that's the hashtag and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Syed Rizwan Ahmed, lawyer, Mr. Vinod Bansal, national spokesperson of the VHP, Haziq Khan, Islamic scholar, joining me in the studios tonight. Shahid Ali, president of the Waqf Liberation Movement. Syed Masood ul Hasan, political analyst. But my first question goes to Vishnu Jain. Everybody knows him. He's a celebrity these days, Mr. Vishnu Jain. And Vishnu Jain, as a lawyer, I want to ask you, how can the Waqf Board acquire villages after villages, as we've seen in Tamil Nadu? And I understand there are 51,000 such cases that are registered across the country only on this issue of land grab by Waqf Board, to land that has existed with families, with people for generations after generations.
See, Navika, I'm so glad to be on your show, and so I'm thankful to you to have me here. First of all, I would like to say that there are examples in numbers. There are so many examples and examples after examples where we have seen during our professional life that the Waqf Board has exercised its powers arbitrarily. That is one aspect of it. I am on a different footing. I want to today on your channel show certain provisions of law which I want to question, that how can such powers be given to the Waqf Board, and whether in a secular India, whether in a constitutional democracy, Is this kind of power available to any other religious denomination? Point number 1, kindly see section 4, 5 and 6 of the Waqf Act and section 8, where the Waqf board will conduct a survey after every 10 years and the expense of that survey will be borne by the state exchequer under section 8 of the Act. Then kindly see section 40 subclause 3 of the Waqf Act, where the Waqf board can declare any property as Waqf property. And let me tell you, the Taj Mahal has also been declared as Waqf property. The ASIs are under appeal in the Supreme Court, and there are so many examples. Chandrasekhar Azad Park in Allahabad, then Kashi, Mathura, Bet Dwarka, and the figures and numbers go on. Then kindly see section 54 of the Waqf Act. Under section 54 of the Waqf Act, the Waqf board can declare anybody as an encroacher of the property, and they can direct the state government to remove that encroachment. At this point of time, I want to ask a question and put a question to myself, that whether such power is there with any trust, mutt, priest, pujari, purohit or Shankaracharya. Because if someone encroaches a property of a temple, I have to fight a long battle before the civil court. Then kindly see section 89 of the Waqf Act. If you want to file a case against the Waqf board, you have to give them notice, just like parallel government under section 80 of the CPC. Then kindly see section 101 of the Waqf Act. The members of the Waqf board are treated as public servants. No pujari, purohit, Shankaracharya, Mahant in this country has ever been treated as a public servant. They are treated as public servants, and even if you touch them, it's an offence under section 21 of the IPC. Then kindly see section 107 of the Waqf Act. Waqf board, even if they dream and come to know after hundreds of years that a particular property belongs to them, there is no limitation under the Limitation Act of 1963, and at any point of time they can say that this is a Waqf property. While on the other hand, for the members of the Hindu community, there is a particular set of limitation. Now under these given of draconian powers, these things are going to happen, and many more will happen, until and unless these provisions of law which I have just told you, until unless they are declared as unconstitutional and arbitrary in violation of Article 14, 21 and 300A of the Constitution, till that time this arbitrary exercise of power will go on. And Navika, let me just 10 seconds more. I want to tell you that there is a very renowned proverb in our legal circles: power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And this act is a classic example of how this proverb fits into this place.
Well, I want to ask Mr. Shahid Ali, President of the Waqf Liberation Movement. I want to ask you a simple question, and this is based on logic. I'm not getting into any religious or legal arguments. I only want to ask you, if the law prohibits कि जो 1947 August 15 status should apply to all mandirs and all places of worship, so you're limiting the rights of the Hindus. On the other hand, you have the Waqf Board Act. You can acquire temples, you can acquire any land, you can acquire villages, and everybody in the Waqf board is a demigod, and they are public servants. They will have all rights given to them. Everybody else, are they children of a lesser god? Are they children of another country, of another constitution? I want to ask you, do you think the Waqf Act is actually an act that is pitted against all other communities, not just the Hindus, against the Sikhs, the Buddhists, the Jains, every other religion suffers because they don't have the same rights as the Muslims have due to the Waqf Act? I want to ask you this.
So now a via media has been adopted to start or to build the public opinion against the Waqf. I want to tell you, all your listeners as well, that what is Waqf Board? Waqf Board is state. State means Government of India. Waqf Board is state within the meaning of Article 12 of Constitution of India. First of all, you should clarify this and you should understand this. What is Waqf Board? So Waqf Board is not the NGO kind of thing, or Waqf Board is not like any masjid or mandir or gurudwara and etc. Waqf Board is a state within the meaning of Article 12. Number two, you say that Waqf Board came into being or Waqf Act came into being in 1995. It is absolutely false. This is the misrepresentation. Waqf board in India Waqf Act came into being in India in 1954, and this was always in existence even before partition.
1923.
So these things please do not misrepresent the public at large.
1954, but the real amendment of
third thing, I'm coming to your all questions. Please allow me.
Was in 1995, my friend, when the Narasimha Rao government was in power, and when that is the same government that to appease Muslims brought in the Places of Worship Act and then brought in this
uninterrupted 10 minutes to Mr. Vishnu.
Amendment to
you
that
gave
act.
Uninterrupted 10 minutes to Mr. Vishnu. Is this forum is only to misguide public at large?
My
if
dear
we are
friend,
not allowed to,
my dear friend, I only want
to
to
nation,
ask you,
if we are
I only
not,
want to ask you, can there be unfettered powers to one religion and not to the other religion? Should all religions not be treated equally?
Anybody can Google it. Anybody can Google it. Waqf bed after independence, Waqf bed came into being in 1954 for the first time.
Congress Sarkar, 95 Congress Sarkar. Can I ask you, they wanted to appease Muslims. They made the 91 Act, they made the 54 Act, and they made the 95 Act. So I want to ask you, why are you are special to God. I have no problems with it. But we are also, or Hindus, or Sikhs, or Buddhists, or Jains, they are also special to their God. Why should you be the preferred category?
This country is run by rule of law. There is a complete
Act,
1995, Waqf Act 1995. Complete code is there. Section 85 is there. Whosoever is aggrieved.
Why should I go now? Because the point is this, why should I go before the Waqf Act? Why civil courts are exempted?
Exactly.
Why should I not go before the civil court, which is a secular court? And why should I go before a Sharia court, which is a Waqf tribunal? And the point is this, Nanika, please give me 30 seconds. I want to add something else. The story does not stop here. In 2013, an amendment has been made by the Congress government, and instead of person interested, the word person aggrieved has been inserted. Now it means that the members of the Hindu community, you have the power to grab my land under the provisions of the Waqf Act. There is where the problem arises. Shahid Bhai just said that the Waqf Act, the Waqf Board is a parallel government. Exactly, that's the point. That the Waqf Act has all the trappings of a government, and it's a government under Article 12. I'm asking you, Shahid Bhai, a question. Whether do you know any mutt, any trust, any Christian diocese, any other body which has a status of a public government under Article 12?
Shahid Bhai, respond. It's a legitimate question. He's asking you respond to this question. Shahid Bhai,
any other religious denomination comes Article 12.
Respond to the question. Respond to the question. Respond to the question.
Shahid Bhai actually accepted what I was trying to say.
Yeah, respond to the question. Does any mutt or any priest or any Gurdwara get the rights that are given to people who are in the Waqf Board? Simple question.
Simple answer is that our Waqf properties have, in this manner, by way of passing this act, have literally been acquired by the government, have literally been taken over by the government. The control has been taken over by the government. We have been asking the government, please free our lands to us, please give the charge to us, and pass a similar act which has been passed in the matters of our Sikh brothers. Gurudwara Prabandhak Committee Act, our Sikh brothers are entitled to look after the property, to take day-to-day affairs.
I don't know. On the one hand, you are saying you are a parallel government. On the other hand, you are saying we are asking government to free. Rizwan,
you should exercise your powers under Section 54.
Rizwan,
and direct the government.
Rizwan, can there be an act? Can there be an act which says that this board is so powerful that civil courts will not come into the play? They can decide everything in their court, which is a court by a certain community within the community. If anybody has a problem, they have to go to that court.
But
they will not go to the general courts. This will be a Sharia court. And on the other hand, Shahid Bhai has already admitted they have government powers. It's almost like a parallel government that is running. Should it be allowed? Now, Shahid Bhai, you'll have to calm down. Otherwise, I will have to lower your fader, because Rizwan Bhai is being asked the question and he has to respond. So Rizwan Bhai, एक parallel government चल सकती है क्या?
Represent public at large. My only request is.
Yeah, thank you so much. But ask this person to keep quiet first, man. Yeah, thank you so much. See, I will address a larger picture, because when we have to talk for Waqf, I think Vishnu is a correct person. The larger picture is, and at coming years, this nation has to address this, what I am going to submit. Our constitution is flawed. It is an oxymoron that secular and minority words are being used in the same constitution. So we have to address this problem at the core. Brickring won't give us anything. In the coming years, we have to address, if the country is secular, there cannot be any special privilege for any minority, be it Muslim, Sikh, anybody. Number one. Number two, 70 years we had a flawed minority policy. Flawed means Muslims here. And I am very sorry to say, I support and I agree to the policies of this government vis-a-vis China, Pakistan, terror. But as far as Muslims go and Muslim appeasement go, the present government also is not able to give a jerk, which I was expecting in 2014, which they will give. That is a fact. Number two. Number three. Now you are talking about the Waqf board. You know what happened at Karnataka at Hubli? That Eidgah Maidan, was it a Waqf board? No, they had a lease to use it for 2 days a year. And there also they were saying that temporarily Ganesh ji ki murti wahan par sthapit nahi ho sakti. This is the mentality of these people. The mentality of these people is to replace, and the entire constitution should have been to protect the minorities, but unfortunately the constitution makes the minority aggressive. That is the biggest flaw in our constitution. We have to do away with the Waqf board. No if, no but, no dilution, no amendment, nothing. Muslims, this country cannot be secular till Muslims need or demand special privileges. The day they stop asking for special privileges, that day this country will be secular, and we have to cut this nonsense at the root.
Well, would you want to respond to that, Syed Masoodul Hassan?
Yeah, I may say that this person, Rizwan Ahmed, this is a venomous person against Muslims, and he is just spitting out his venom.
Why?
Against the Muslim community.
Why do you call it venom? He's saying everybody should be given equal treatment. Where is the venom in this?
I saw him on many debates spitting out the venom, and I'm really very amazed that he just put a question mark on the constitution itself, and an FIR should be lodged against him, because he is saying that our constitution is flawed. अरे तुम हंसने लगते हो, आज तक वाले डिबेट भूल गए जहां गाली खाए थे, हैं? ये कुत्ते की तरह भौंकने क्यों लगते हो?
भैया, please, Mr. Hassan, please stay in your limits. आप तमीज के दायरे में रहें, please. We are all our panelists are extremely respected people, and I do not want this kind of a language that should come out in the middle of a logical debate where pros and cons, pro arguments and con arguments are given. I want you to stick to the issue at hand. We don't need adjectives for the panelists, please, and apologize to Mr. Rizwan.
Please tell him, don't laugh when I'm speaking.
No, it's okay. I'm habitual. They are learned people, but they are like hooligans. I'm habitual. Continue.
He's the joke of the national TV debates.
He is not interrupting you. He is not interrupting you. He is not saying anything.
Why is laughing?
No, I mean, come on. You respect the constitution. You can speak. He can't laugh. He can't smile. I mean, I don't understand what kind of rule. You are calling him names and he can't laugh. Come on, let's stick to the point. Saeed Hassan Saab, you make the substantive argument that you want to make.
I just want to say, we'll have to see those circumstances when this constitution was made, when our country, India, is not a secular like America or like Europe. And in Europe and in America, in all other countries, there are certain minority rights. In America,
but can a minority right include that you can take anybody's land, nobody can ask you a question? If somebody has a problem, he has to come to a special court that you run, not a civil court. What kind of rights are these, my friend? That is the right that we are questioning.
This is a misinterpretation, as the Shahid Bhai said, that you are telling that Waqf board has a separate court. No, it doesn't have any kind of court. Right now in India, in any state, I may say that. And
whatever they were arguing in
Waqf properties, there are two kinds of Waqf properties. One is Waqf alal khair, and the second one is Waqf alal aulad.
Go to Waqf tribunal.
So,
and now
no, what is the Waqf tribunal? Question to you by Vishnu Jain ji.
83 of the Waqf Act, sir. It is formed under section 83 of the Waqf Act.
Tribunal is not a court. Tribunal is not a district court or a high court.
That's what we are saying. That's what we are saying. Under Article 323, an administrative tribunal has been set up by Waqf tribunal under the name of Waqf tribunal, and the powers of civil court have been excluded. And if you are agreed by the order of Waqf tribunal, you go to the High Court and the Supreme Court. So the point is this, that civil court is taken away.
Absolutely.
And tribunal has all the members and formations of a member of a particular
who are
community.
Members of the tribunal, of the Waqf tribunal?
The person who is known in Islamic law, a Islamic scholar.
So why should Islamic law be applied? Why should Islamic scholars be sitting there? That is why the question is being raised.
I already said in India, Constitution has given the privileges to other minorities, to Sikhs, to Jain, to Christians.
Which provision, sir? I am asking, please show me a single act, and Navika, I will not utter even a single word. If today my fellow panelists show me a single act under any statute, any rule, order, bylaw, where any member of a minority community, Jain, Sikh, Buddha, Parsi, Christian, has similar provisions.
Okay, so please cite the act under which such powers have been given to the Sikhs, the Jains, the Buddhists, the Christians, and the Parsis. Please cite the law. Please cite the law.
Okay.
Please cite the law.
Community, if you heard about the Hindu family business law, there is a separate provision for Hindu family business law. There is a karta and a karak and all the.
अब आप हिंदूज पे आ गए, हम तो minorities की बात कर रहे हैं, मैं तो हिंदू की बात ही नहीं कर रही.
For every community there is a person
name
law
the
for
law.
every community.
Name the law.
Hindu Marriage Act is
Name
there.
the law, sir.
Hindu Marriage Act is there. Hindu right to
Baba, he is
property
going on
is
Marriage
there.
Act.
Hindu.
You're talking about the Marriage Act. You're talking about the Marriage Act. You are talking. Vishnu Jain ji, is there such an act? You are a lawyer. Is there such an act for Sikhs?
I seriously don't know how to debate, because we are asking something else, he is answering something else. Now how can you compare Hindu Marriage Act with Waqf Act? The point is this, and I'm like, with utmost sense of humility, I'm saying that please read the Waqf Act, please see the provisions of the Waqf Act, kindly analyze it. I have been in debates and many of the co-panelists have agreed that yes, whatever you are saying has a strong point and these draconian laws have to be struck down. Now Mr. Shahid Ali, you can't just go on the national television and say that we are making statements against the record. We have read the Waqf Act, all these acts have been challenged before the Supreme Court, but the point is this, kindly see Navika, I want to give you a very burning example. Chandrasekhar Azad Park in Allahabad, where Shahid Chandrasekhar Azad gave his shahadat, that park has been declared as Waqf property. Bet Dwarka has been declared as Waqf property. Mathura Shri Krishna Janmabhoomi has been declared as Waqf property. Gyan Vyapi has been declared as Waqf property. Bhojshala has been declared as Waqf property, and the number doesn't stop. Tamil Nadu's example is there. Apart from Tamil Nadu's example, in Navika, I just want to make one more thing today on your channel. Entire Punjab and Haryana is suffering from the problem of Waqf board, because you know what happened actually when there was partition of this country. The members of the Muslim community who migrated to Pakistan and the members of the Hindu community who came to Punjab and Haryana, they were initially given this property which belonged to the members of the Hindu community, and it was within the heading of evacuee property. The central government was the custodian of the property. In 1984, the Rajiv Gandhi government gave that property to the Waqf. Initially the Waqf used to take rent as 50 rupees. Now अब सारे लोग आते हैं हमारे पास, कहते हैं सब 25,000 रेंट ले रहे, 30,000 रेंट ले रहे. Now when we research, we found out how can Waqf board even be a owner of that property? Those properties belong to the central government.
Exactly the point, and I want to ask Khan Saab. Khan Saab, हमारे हाजिक खान साहब, हमारे दादा और हमारे नाना जब पाकिस्तान छोड़कर आए तो हमारी तो जमीनें वहीं रह गई, और आज वहां हिंदुओं का जो हाल है वो आपको दिख ही रहा है. लेकिन जो यहां से चले गए उनका लैंड अब वक्फ बोर्ड को दे दिया गया है 1984 एक्ट के बाद.
हम रेंट दे रहे हैं.
हाँ, मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूँ, क्या हिंदू इस देश के अब जो यहां से चले गए उनके भी किराएदार हैं? और क्या ये वक्फ बोर्ड एक पैरेलल सरकार चलाएगा, पैरेलल जुडिशरी चलाएगा, जिसमें इफ देयर इज अ कंटेस्टेंट उसको जाना पड़ेगा वहां के कोर्ट में, और वहां सुनवाई ना हो तो फिर सीधा हाई कोर्ट, यानी कि सिविल कोर्ट का जो रिड्रेसल मैकेनिज्म है उसको मिलेगा ही नहीं. ये कौन सा लॉ हुआ? क्या ये अजीब तरह की सिचुएशन नहीं है जहां पर एक कम्युनिटी को ये हक दिए जा रहे हैं जो दूसरी माइनॉरिटीज को नहीं दिए जा रहे?
देखिए मैडम, बात यह है कि जब मुल्क आज़ाद हुआ 1947 में, और जब हमारे देश का संविधान बना तो उस संविधान बनाने वालों ने हमारे देश के संविधान में वो आर्टिकल रखे कि मुसलमानों की जो वक्फ प्रॉपर्टियां हैं उनको यथास्थिति बनाई जाए, रखी जाए.
कौन सा आर्टिकल है सर?
अभी शाहिद भाई ने 12 बताया ना आपको. हमारा कहने का ये मकसद है कि जब हिंदुस्तान की सरकारें कानून बना रही हैं, नरसिंह राव के जमाने बना हो, राजीव गांधी के जमाने में बना हो, या जब वर्शिप एक्ट बना था, तो उस देश के प्रधानमंत्री रहे अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, अडवाणी जी, ये सारे वर्शिप एक्ट के जब बिल पास हुआ था, हमारे माननीय वकील साहब जो हैं विष्णु जी, इनसे ज्यादा विद्वान थे. उन्होंने जितने पार्लियामेंट में बैठे थे उन्होंने ये एक्ट बनाया था. और अगर आप यहाँ पर देश सर मैं आपके बारे में बोला, जब देश में और वो कोई एक्ट बनाता है तो वो संविधान के एतबार से बनाता है, कानून के एतबार से बनाता है.
भी मान लीजिए पार्लियामेंट में ही बना था.
दिल्ली की जो है सराय काले खां से लेके और जितने पार्क हैं वहां और जितने होटल हैं, जितने ये डीपीएस स्कूल हैं, ये सब वक्फ बोर्ड की प्रॉपर्टी में. अगर हिंदुस्तान में अगर वक्फ बोर्ड की प्रॉपर्टी तलाशी जाएगी तो हजारों लाखों फैमिलियां उस पर रह रही हैं, थोड़ा किराया दे रही है नाम मत. और ये वक्फ बोर्ड इसलिए बनाया था,
किराया दे क्यों?
इसलिए बनाया गया था कि इसका जो पैसा आएगा वो मुसलमानों की फलाह बहबूद के लिए.
यही तो कह रहे हैं.
प्रॉब्लम है, प्रॉब्लम है. हमारी प्रॉपर्टी, हमारा पैसा,
8.5 लाख एकड़ जमीन इनकी, और हैं ये माइनॉरिटी. विनोद बंसल जी, इनका कानून अलग, इनके हक अलग, बाकियों
कोई संविधान नहीं बनाया. प्लीज सॉरी,
ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टी
स्टेट को डिफाइन करता है. ये कहीं नहीं कहता है सर कि वक्फ बोर्ड का स्टेटस होना चाहिए. वक्फ बोर्ड
जानते नहीं थे, वकील नहीं बैठे हुए थे आपसे ज्यादा विद्वान जब कानून बनना था. कैसी बात करते हैं देश को इस तरह. देश में जो प्रॉपर्टी है जिसकी है उसी की रहेगी. अगर मंदिर की है तो मंदिर की रहेगी, मस्जिद की है तो
फिर मंदिर क्यों ले लिया? वो 1300 साल पुराना वाला मंदिर ले लिया, क्यों ले लिया भाई? कौन सा वक्फ बोर्ड का लैंड था वो मंदिर दिख रहा है ना आपको तमिलनाडु में. अब इसका जवाब दे दीजिए, मंदिर कैसे ले लिया?
मैडम, ये हमारे देश के अंदर
जब संविधानिक एतबार से कोई चीज किसी को दी जा रही, अब जैसे बाबरी मस्जिद दे दी गई,
संवैधानिक अधिकार से 1300 साल पुराना मंदिर भी वक्फ बोर्ड के पास चला गया। 1300 साल है जी, 1300 साल है,
130 लिख के आ रहा है,
नहीं 1300 आ रहा है जी, आपको एक जीरो दिखा नहीं होगा, मैं आपको दिखवा देती हूँ दोबारा चलवा के।
1300 साल पुराना ही सही इस मुल्क में,
तो 1300 साल पुराना मंदिर भी वक्फ बोर्ड का हो गया, हम चू तक ना करें।
नहीं वो उसको उनका अधिकार है कोर्ट में जाने का, लड़ रहे जो प्रॉपर्टी में रह रहे हैं।
कोर्ट क्यों जाए?
क्यों नहीं जाए? आप कोर्ट जाएंगे?
सवाल है मैं आप नाविका जी आपसे तो ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि मुझे भी ये पावर दीजिए, और मैं केंद्र सरकार से कहना चाहता हूँ मुझे भी ये पावर दीजिए इनकी संपत्ति को हिंदू संपत्ति घोषित करने की, और आप कोर्ट जाइए। ये भी जो आपका संविधान का इंटरप्रिटेशन है वही संविधान का इंटरप्रिटेशन
हिंदू राष्ट्र नहीं हो सकता तो मुस्लिम राष्ट्र भी नहीं हो सकता।
यह देश संविधान से चलेगा, और संवैधानिक एतबार से हमारे न्यायालय ने
संविधान तो सबके लिए बराबर होना चाहिए, पर ये बराबरी नहीं है। आपने 1300 साल पुराना मंदिर वक्फ बोर्ड के तहत ले लिया है, और विनोद बंसल जी संविधान की बात करते हुए ये लोग कह रहे हैं कि ये वक्फ बोर्ड हमें ये इजाजत और ये हक देता है। आई वॉन्ट टू आस्क यू, इज दिस just, is this something that is given to other minorities in this country? Even is this given to any majority in this country? Correct. I want to ask this question.
Navika ji, after 35 minutes of the long discussion and the heated debates, I'm going to intervene into this issue. Number one is that I would clearly say that no doubt, I am taking interest in it actually. No doubt, it's very fruitful debate. Except two panelists, I gained this knowledge out of it actually. और ऐसे विद्वान वकील इसमें बैठे हुए हैं, मैं कहना चाहता हूँ देखिए, द वक्फ एक्ट इज द बिगेस्ट फ्रॉड ऑन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ द कंट्री। आप देखिए कि इससे बड़ा कोई फ्रॉड देश के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे, सेकुलरिज्म पर और देश की जो स्वाधीनता पर कोई नहीं हो सकता। ये बहुत बड़ा हमला है। आप देखिए दुनिया का कोई एक देश तो बता दे, कोई पूरे ग्लोब के अंदर कोई बता दे जहां पर माइनॉरिटी को मेजॉरिटी से ज्यादा राइट दिए गए हैं, वो भी एब्सोल्यूट पावर। आप देखिए कि आपके जो एक शाहिद साहब तो ये कह रहे थे कि वो इट इज नाइदर ए ट्रस्ट नॉर एन एनजीओ, नाइदर यू कैन से इट ए गवर्नमेंट, नथिंग बट according to his statement or the powers given by to this Waqf Act under the Waqf Board, it is absolute power like an emperor, where nobody can question. Whatever the judgment has been given by the emperor is last and final. And this is a country. आप देखिए, मैं तो सिर्फ हिंदू राष्ट्र कहता हूं और ये तो मुस्लिम राष्ट्र बना चुके। नाविका जी मुझे बताइए, जिस प्रॉपर्टी पे मैं हाथ रख दूं वो प्रॉपर्टी मेरी है, मेरे बाप की, कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकता। अगर कोई ये कहता नहीं विनोद बंसल ये तुम्हारी प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है, तो मैं कहूंगा भैया आजा मेरी बीबी के पास, यहाँ को कोर्ट लगा हुआ है, वो सुनेगी। अगर वो जजमेंट दे देगी तो ठीक है, तेरी हो जाएगी, नहीं तो मेरी है ही है। आप देखिए कि ये तो धीरे धीरे करके पूरे भारत को ग्रेप करने पे लगे हुए हैं, और दिस इज द ओनली रीजन why they have grabbed the property in such a way that they have become the third largest land occupier of the country. ऐसी थोड़ी बन गए कोई
माइनॉरिटी। I want to ask शाहिद भाई, शाहिद अली साहब, I want to ask you, माइनॉरिटी
नाविका जी, मैं कह रहा हूं कि दिल्ली की 123 प्राइम लैंड की प्रॉपर्टी पर विश्व हिंदू परिषद पिछले 20 साल से केस लड़ रहा है। आपको पता है 123 प्राइम लैंड की दिल्ली में प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, उनको वक्फ बोर्ड ने कब्जा हुआ है। विश्व हिंदू परिषद सिर्फ इसलिए लड़ रहा है कि वो पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, गवर्नमेंट प्रॉपर्टीज हैं, जो मस्जिद के बाहर की दुकान है। आप मुझे बताइए 2014 के इलेक्शन डिक्लेयर होने से ठीक 2 घंटे पहले, सिर्फ सही 2 घंटे पहले आप देखिए कि मनमोहन सिंह सरकार ने एक नोटिफिकेशन जारी करके वो 123 प्रॉपर्टीज को वक्फ बोर्ड के हवाले कर दिया। दिस इज द ओनली VHP डेलीगेशन। और उसके बाद में उस
I want to ask Mr. Shahid Ali. Mr. Shahid Ali, can any Hindu, can Mr. Vishnu Jain go and look at any land and say this is mine? And if you have a problem, please come and litigate or present yourself in the courts that I have set up.
Before Jain tribunal.
Yeah. Can it happen? The Jain tribunal of Vishnu Jain will listen to your objections to it. Is it possible? Is it possible?
I am surprised that Times Now today is busy in spreading falsehood. Today Times
So what
Now
is the falsehood?
is busy in spreading only
What is the falsehood, my friend?
Logic
Isn't it true that you are the third largest landowner? The Waqf board is the third largest landowner in this country.
Me to speak at all. The problem is you have been speaking anything.
Not only
the problem
owner, it
is
is a
you have
land
been
graver.
you have been speaking
are the land
anything.
graver
You have
of the country.
spreading anything.
Third largest
All
tract
false.
was by Andhra Pradesh High
Please
Court.
allow us.
Not by us. And that in 2008.
and left their
क्यों नहीं हो सकती उनकी property
तो फिर 1300 साल पुराने मंदिर ले लेंगे आप।
13 साल की कोर्ट को देखना, लेकिन अगर उनकी प्रॉपर्टी
कौन सी कोर्ट? आपकी कोर्ट?
नहीं, हमारे हिंदुस्तानी कोर्ट, हाई कोर्ट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट देखेगी उसको।
Why not the civil court? Why should the villagers be running to the state capital? Why should they come to Chennai to fight it? Why should they not fight it in their district courts? Tell me a reason why. Rizwan bhai, they are saying fight in the High Court or the Supreme Court. I want to ask you, why should a villager be forced to run to the capital of the state or to the capital of the country to fight a case which they should be able to fight in their district courts? Why should they go and fight in their court? And can any other community do the same thing?
See, Navika,
Waqf tribunal is headed by a sitting judge.
Navika, you must have seen jugglers. So we Muslims are best at juggling Sharia and constitutions. We are jugglers. जब हम चाहेंगे हाथ में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ले लेंगे, जब हम चाहेंगे हाथ में शरीयत ले लेंगे, और आप कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे. पहली बात. दूसरी बात, अभी some person was quoting कि साहब अमेरिका में there are minority rights, इंग्लैंड में there are minority rights. That force I am saying कि that person who was giving me wisdom should understand कि the USA president swears by the Bible as per a bill, the same Bible of George Washington. In England, the Prime Minister swears by the Bible. They are Christian states. Denmark, Norway, all are Christian states. So if you want some special rights, you should advocate for India to become a Hindu Rashtra first. Then you compare yourself to the minorities of England or USA because they are Christian Rashtra. Understand the difference. Don't spread falsehood here, number one. Number two, Constitution is not a book from the heaven like the Quran, जिसके लिए हम बोलते हैं कि उसका एक नुक्ता भी नहीं बदल सकता. And some stupid person was telling me कि इसके खिलाफ FIR होनी चाहिए. Number two, number three, Constitution. अरे सुन लो बेटा, सुन लो बच्चे सुन लो, बेबी सुन लो, सुनो. And last but not the least, नाविका, अरे सुन लो बेटा, सुन लो, नाविका. The Constitution has seen 130 amendments. 130. Secular word was not in 1952. It was added much later. So if they say that the Constitution cannot be altered, they should first request the government to remove the word secular from the preamble.
Well, Rizwan Ahmad, you hit the nail on the head. Saeed Masoodul Hassan, do you have a response to that? There is a logic in what he says. Do you have that logic?
नाविका जी, हम लोग पेड़ के ऊपर की शाखों पे टहल रहे हैं, जड़ तक नहीं पहुंच रहे. किसी को यहाँ पर यही नहीं मालूम, ना कोई बताना चाह रहा कि वक्फ प्रॉपर्टीज आई कहां से. वक्फ प्रॉपर्टीज कब्जा करके नहीं होती हैं पैदा. जो लोग मुसलमान जो अपनी जाती प्रॉपर्टी, मेरी खरीदी हुई प्रॉपर्टी अगर मैं चाहूं तो उसे वक्फ बोर्ड को दे सकता हूं. मेरे मरने के बाद वो जा सकती है. वो मेरी प्रॉपर्टी है, मैं जिसको चाहूं उसको दूं. बाद में
पूरा विलेज आपका है.
चंद्रशेखर आजाद पार्क कैसे कह दिया? जहां चंद्रशेखर आजाद पार्क में चंद्रशेखर जी ने शहादत दी, वो पूरा पार्क वो प्रॉपर्टी हो गया. और इलाहाबाद हाईकोर्ट ने व्हेन दे पास एन ऑर्डर, देन दोस बाजार्स वर रिमूव्ड. नाविका, दिस इज द हार्ड फैक्ट.
जलियाना वाले बाग में सैकड़ों मुसलमान मर गए तो वो उनकी प्रॉपर्टी हो जाएगी? ऐसा नहीं होता भाई, प्रॉपर्टी के लैंड के पेपर।
अरे सर वो गवर्नमेंट प्रॉपर्टी है, वो प्रॉपर्टी कैसे हो सकती है?
गवर्नमेंट प्रॉपर्टी है तो गवर्नमेंट रहेगी, वो प्रॉपर्टी है वो रहेगी।
The bottom line is how can a 1300-year-old temple be claimed by the Waqf board? How can village after village in Tamil Nadu be claimed by the Waqf board? Can any other minority or even the majority community, the Hindus, be given special rights in this country? If they don't have, if Hindus don't have, Sikhs don't have, Jains don't have, Buddhists or Parsis don't have these rights, how can the Muslims claim this right? Isn't this something that needs to be relooked? The matter is in Supreme Court, but the new revelations that have come from this village in Trichy, where a man went to sell his land because he wanted to get his daughter married off and got a shock that the land he had owned for generations that was handed down to them is now part of the Waqf board. How does that even happen? Is there a fact? Is there a land account? Is there some sort of land records that are maintained? Or can the Waqf board actually put a finger and decide which is the land they own and which is the land they don't own? The third biggest land owner in this country is the Waqf board, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it and think about how much land there will be when, after the railways and the defense system, it is actually the Waqf board that owns these lands. Doesn't that read redressal? That's the question we are asking. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on debate number 1. The dangal in Delhi over the liquor scam is far from over. The BJP is in no mood to spare the Aam Aadmi Party. Today, a second sting was released by the BJP featuring accused number 9 in the CBI case, Amit Arora. In the video, the accused is claiming that the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi deliberately kept smaller players out of its tailor-made excise policy to help just a handful, and that liquor giants paid up to 100 crores each to be able to get the license. Listen in.
ऐसा है, इंडो स्पिरिट वाला तो 100 करोड़ रुपए एडवांस देके बैठे थे। वो तो कहते थे 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग की है, 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग की है, ठीक है। वो तो सबको ही बोलता था कि क्योंकि सबसे बड़ा धंधा उसी के पास था। अब 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग में भी एक ये भी ब्लैक और व्हाइट करने का धंधा है। भाई आप 100 रुपए आज किसी को एडवांस में दे दो, कैश आपको, मैं मेरे घर में कैश पड़ा, मैंने किसी को 100 रुपए एडवांस में दे दिया, अब वापस आने मेरे को सारे व्हाइट में। ये तो कैश व्हाइट टू ब्लैक की कन्वर्जन भी होगी, जिस जो कैश दे रहा है, क्योंकि अगर मेरे पास कैश पड़ा मैंने आपको एडवांस दे दिया, अब आप मेरे को व्हाइट में वापस आता रहेगा। फिक्स धंधा, फिक्स मार्जिन दे दिया। उसके बाद अमंडल 60-70 करोड़ रुपए जो मार्केट में है उसने अमंडल ने दिए 60 करोड़ रुपए। सारे बोलते, क्योंकि हर आदमी बोलता था ना कि हमें भी धंधा दे दो, वो बोलते थे इतने रुपए देने, किसी को पैसे देने की हिम्मत नहीं। अब हमारे पास कहां से आएंगे पैसे इतने?
Well, even as the BJP held a press conference to make these allegations and to make public this sting operation, Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi Manish Sisodia came out and rebutted the charges. Well, not with facts but an ultimatum. Listen in.
मैं आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी से अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं कि ये जो सो कॉल्ड आपका स्टिंग है, इसको आप आज और अभी जाके सीबीआई को दीजिए और 4 दिन के अंदर अंदर स्टिंग हो ही गया। अब स्टिंग तो सबूत में आ गया। 4 दिन के अंदर अंदर सीबीआई इसकी जांच करके मुझे गिरफ्तार कर ले। भाई भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने स्टिंग कर ही दिया है। सीबीआई की एक्सटर्नल ब्रांच है भारतीय जनता पार्टी आजकल।
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining the debate tonight, Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP, Ravi Srivastava, political analyst, supports the Aam Aadmi Party. But my first question goes to Dr. Piyush Joshi, political analyst and Aam Aadmi Party supporter. Dr. Piyush Goyal, simple straightforward question. The BJP, yes, simple straightforward question is, the BJP has made charges. There are very quantifiable charges, 2 sting operations, and the policy on which the BJP has, the CBI has filed a charge, an FIR. I want to ask you, why in so many days has there been no point-by-point rebuttal? And when questions are asked, there are only ultimatums that are given. You say the stings can be made in anybody's backyard. Why is there no specific answer to the specific questions that have been raised?
First of all, thank you for promoting me and changing my name to Mr. Piyush Goyal.
Piyush Joshi. Piyush Joshi.
I don't hold any portfolio in the Indian ministry.
I'm sorry. It's human to make mistakes, Mr. Piyush Joshi.
I'm just trying to begin with a little bit of humor, as the BJP is doing in each and every of its press conference and resorting to poetry just a day after the Hindi Divas. Now coming back to the question that why no specific answers are given. So specific answers will be given to the specific authorities and are being given already. The point is the specificity of the questions keeps on changing on behalf of the BJP day by day. Today they come up with one sting, tomorrow they come up with another sting. Manoj Tiwari comes up and says that the overall corpus of the fraud or the scam, alleged scam, is 8,500 crores. I don't know how he comes to this
okay, forget all of this. There are 5 basic questions. Question number 1, was there a blacklisted company that was given a license? Question number 2, question number 2, why was a license given to somebody in the airport zone without an NOC and then refund of earnest money of 30 crores was done? Question number 3, why were there companies which were made to give upfront money, and why were future excise collections not given? You were collecting instead of 223 rupees per bottle in the past, you were collecting something like 2 rupees now. I want to ask you, why don't you answer these specific questions?
Look, let me get to it according to my understanding, because I maintain this fact. I'm not a spokesperson and I'm not a CBI officer. But why was this policy brought into place to begin with? It was because of the money drain that was happening to the liquor vendors of Gurugram. That Gurugram was offering discounts after discounts. Gurugram was going for 1+1 discounts. And they were displaying bigger boards mentioning as L1 vendors.
Oh, so they were competing with Gurugram, Shehzad Poonawala. Delhi better than Gurugram is what they wanted to show.
Policy was brought into place.
May I speak? Okay, now, let's listen to the answer.
First of all, let me express the fact that Aam Aadmi Party, which regularly comes to your show, found it inconvenient to come on your show. Perhaps they've avoided all TV shows on this particular subject. Manish Sisodia has had to come out and defend himself, and no PC was done by any other spokesperson. So it seems that the questions are hitting home, and therefore Kejriwal does not want to answer any questions, nor does he want to even send his panelists or his spokespersons to defend Manish Sisodia. So after reverting to the old policy from the new policy, this is yet another admission that corruption has happened. From last 2 months, we've been asking 7-8 questions about the liquor policy. Mr. Piyush Joshi, I think you're not in the official spokesperson, so why do you need to interrupt me? Please have the patience. Mr. Kejriwal anyways advertises a lot. He gets all the airtime. Can we at least have a say? Or do we have to now speak to stepneys of the Aam Aadmi Party?
Piyush Joshi ji, this is a short debate. Let's be civil. Let's listen to each other.
Anyways, let me just reiterate the questions that the BJP has been raising for the last 7 months. Commission was increased from 2 to 12% without any recommendation. The committee of Dhawan, which was ignored completely, and wholesale was given to the private players when it should have been kept with the government. There was also a situation where the licensing period of the licensees was increased without the cabinet approval. You also had a situation where 30 crores EMD was given, 144 crores was waived off. You had a situation where manufacturing companies and blacklisted companies were allowed to come in. A blacklisted company was issued a show cause notice, no action was taken. And therefore my question is not to the stepneys of the Aam Aadmi Party, but to Mr. Kejriwal. Then Mr. Kejriwal, you say vendetta politics is being done. Satyendra Jain is in jail for the last 4 months. Satyendra Jain was also now yesterday told by the courts to submit himself for questioning in the liquor scam. If Mr. Kejriwal has an iota of integrity left, he should do away with Satyendra Jain and he should allow a probe to happen against Mr. Manish Sisodia. But instead, what he does is every day they come up with a new drama and a new dharna and a new bahana, but they don't answer the questions. I am wondering today, Navika, where is Arvind Kejriwal's spokespersons? Why aren't they here to answer questions about the liquor scam? Why should we ask questions of people like Mr. Piyush? They have nothing to do with this. But those who are the stakeholders in the scam.
Serious, claims that were being made on that sting operation, Shehzad. The fact that they are talking about 300, 400, 500 crores, 100 crores, 50 crores, 20 crores, 30 crores given here and there. This is a big issue. Why, Dr. Piyush Joshi, are these questions not being answered? You either say that this Amit Arora's claims are right or wrong. And if they are wrong, then sue the BJP. Why is the Aam Aadmi Party not doing that?
The basic fact of the matter is that the quasi-statehood of Delhi is being used to bury the government and the government's work under a pile of paper. You know, someday it's a school scam, someday it is a DTC scam, someday it is a liquor scam, someday it is Jal Board. There are so many scams. First, make up your mind, what scam are you talking about?
There can be many.
Because this is a reflection of how you are running a government in Delhi rather than a reflection on those who are whistleblowing on these scams. And by the way, Mr. Piyush, let me save you some breath. These scams have been authenticated by various agencies. The Lok Ayukt has taken cognizance of the schoolroom scam. The CVC has taken cognizance. The court has taken cognizance of the Hawala Ghotala. The Sharab Ghotala has been investigated by the CBI. So, Mr. Piyush Joshi, I don't want to waste my breath on you. You're not even a member of the Aam Aadmi Party. Frankly, I'm asking Mr. Kejriwal through times now, because I know he watches this channel, that why aren't you here to answer some questions? This shows that Mr. Kejriwal is completely exposed. He has no answers left on the Sharab Ghotala of Manish Sisodia, and therefore he's running away from questions. Mr. Kejriwal must tell us that why isn't he answering the questions of the BJP on the Sharab Ghotala?
Well, the issue is also when you talk about scams, Mr. Joshi, the issue is also that there is one minister who's already been arrested. Mr. Satyendra Jain has been in jail for the last 3 odd months. And now there will be questioning, and the court has given the orders that there can be questioning of Mr. Satyendra Jain that can be done even on this issue. My point is that if all this is false, if these are false charges, you have come out with one argument that MLAs were being bought. There have been no facts to support, no evidence to support. And you are saying what they are saying is wrong. Shouldn't there be evidence, and shouldn't you actually sue them?
Satyendra Jain is in the jail because of the PMLA Act and in the amendments to the Act. We have told this particular fact on countless number of occasions. Now, coming back to Shehzad, that he doesn't want to waste his breath on the stepneys of Aam Aadmi Party. So the Aam Aadmi Party and the alleged accused will answer before the stepney of the Government of India, which is the Central Bureau of Investigation or the BJP Bureau of Investigation.
Well,
if the fact is so, if the facts are so
we're waiting for answers. We're waiting for answers, and answers are not important just for the CBI, just for the BJP. Answers are important because the people of Delhi chose this government, chose this party to govern them. Well, you owe it to the people of Delhi, Mr. Kejriwal and Mr. Sisodia, to come clean and explain really what's right and what's wrong. Thank you very much to my panelists, and thank you viewers for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night, be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break. Newshour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
You are watching the News Hour agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. It's no secret that in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP are now eyeball to eyeball, especially when it comes to what is being known as the liquor gate. BJP is pulling no punches. In the beginning of September, they released a sting operation where they claimed that the father of one of the accused was exposing the Aam Aadmi Party and its misdemeanor in awarding contracts. In part 2 of its sting that was released today over the alleged liquor scam, the BJP released a video of one of the accused, Amit Arora, listed as accused number 9 in the CBI case. Now, the sting operation, the BJP claims, establishes that the now scrapped excise policy was deliberately formulated to benefit a select few, mainly the bigger players involved in the wholesale of liquor. And as quid pro quo, hundreds of crores in cash were given to the Aam Aadmi Party. This money, according to the BJP, was then used by the Aam Aadmi Party for political campaigns. In fact, this is a claim that is also being made by Aman Arora in this purported sting operation. First, listen in to what this man, accused number 9 in the CBI case into Liquorgate, is saying about the entire scheme.
तो दिल्ली का जो था ये ब्रांड को अमनदीप डाला है, इसके बाद आपका ये दीवान स्पिरिट वाला, इंडो स्पिरिट, महादेव वाले पैसे तुमने क्या बताया था, आप बताए थे कि दे
देखो जी, पैसा है इंडो स्पिरिट वाला तो 100 करोड़ रुपए एडवांस देके बैठे थे। वो तो कहते थे 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग की है, 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग की है, ठीक है। वो तो सबको ही बोलते थे कि जी, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ा धंधा उसी के पास था। अब 100 रुपए की ज्वाइनिंग में भी एक ये भी ब्लैक और व्हाइट करने का धंधा है। भाई आप 100 रुपए आज किसी को एडवांस में दे दो, कैश आपको, मैं मेरे घर में कैश पड़ा, मैंने किसी को 100 रुपए एडवांस में दे दिया, अब वापस आने मेरे पास सारे व्हाइट में। ये तो कैश व्हाइट टू ब्लैक की कन्वर्जन भी होगी, जिस जो कैश दे रहा है, क्योंकि अगर मेरे पास कैश पड़ा, मैंने आपको एडवांस दे दिया, अब आप मेरे को व्हाइट में वापस आता रहेगा। फिक्स धंधा, फिक्स मार्जिन दे दिया।
तो अमन तो पंजाब में ही अभी
अमन ढल और एक अनंत वाइन्स, 2 आदमियों को 10,000 करोड़ रुपए का धंधा 2 आदमी को दे दिया। कैसे दे दिया जी? आप मेरे को बताओ, हरियाणा के अंदर पॉलिसी है, एक शहर में 6 एलवन होते हैं। कंपटीशन क्या करता है? अगर एक दुकानदार ने या एक कस्टमर ने खरीदनी है, 6 दुकानें हैं, तो उसको तो फायदा ही मिलेगा ना। क्यों दी 2 आदमियों को? मतलब कोई रीजन तो बताओ।
बनाए कितना होगा?
अरे आप पैसा तो, मतलब मैं बता रहा हूँ, अगर कोई बंदा ड्रग्स भी बेचे तो भी इतने पैसे नहीं बना सकता। 10 करोड़ रुपए भी लगाए होंगे और 150 करोड़ रुपए कमाए हैं अभी तक। और ये सारा सिर्फ ये पैसा कमाने का तरीका नहीं था, ये एक और तरीका था। क्या किया? 100 करोड़ रुपए एडवांस दे दिए कैश में। इन्होंने 100 करोड़ रुपए अपने इलेक्शन में लगा दिए, कहीं भी हरियाणा, पंजाब में इलेक्शन में लगा दिए, गोवा में लगा दिए। लेकिन अब जब वो पैसा वापस आ रहा है, पहली पॉलिसी है जिसके अंदर इन्होंने लिख दिया कि इस पैसे को आपको 12% देना ही पड़ेगा।
Now, in the eye of the storm, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, who has been hailed as a kattar imandar by Arvind Kejriwal, was quick to retort. In fact, he went on the offensive and said that not only should both these sting operations be immediately investigated by the CBI, he also said that the BJP, the CBI and the ED should have him arrested by Monday. A 4-day deadline has been set for his own arrest by Delhi's Deputy Chief Minister.
मैं आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी से अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं कि ये जो सो कॉल्ड आपका स्टिंग है, इसको आप आज और अभी जाके सीबीआई को दीजिए और 4 दिन के अंदर अंदर स्टिंग हो ही गया। अब स्टिंग तो सबूत में आ गया। 4 दिन के अंदर अंदर सीबीआई इसकी जांच करके मुझे गिरफ्तार कर ले। भाई भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने स्टिंग कर ही दिया है। सीबीआई की एक्सटर्नल ब्रांच है भारतीय जनता पार्टी आजकल।
Now the BJP has taken the occasion to say that it is not the party making any allegations against the AAP. It is people who are accused, people who are related to the accused, who are exposing what really went on in formulation and the subsequent rejection, the pulling back of the liquor policy by the Delhi government.
स्टिंग ऑपरेशन प्रकाश में आया था जिसमें इस घोटाले के एक आरोपी ने बहुत सी बातें कही थीं जो अपने आप में बहुत कुछ रहस्योद्घाटन कर रही थी। इस घोटाले के आरोपी अमित अरोड़ा किसी व्यक्ति को इतना विस्तार बता रहे हैं कि किस किस प्रकार से किस कंपनी को कितना पैसा लिया गया, एडवांस में पैसा लिया गया। और इतना ही नहीं है, इसमें सिर्फ पैसे लेने और देने का उल्लेख नहीं है, पूरी की पूरी पॉलिसी किस व्यवस्थित ढंग से बनाई गई कि चुनिंदा लोगों के हाथ में ही पैसा रहे और कैश का फ्लो भी उन्हीं के हाथ में रहे। वो चीजें देखकर निश्चित रूप से आप लोगों को भी बहुत दुखद आश्चर्य होगा।
ये कहना चाहता हूं परिवार के सदस्यों से कि आप मेरा इंटरव्यू देखिए और मेरी ये प्रेस रिलीज देखिए, प्रेस हमारा इसको देखिए। और मैं हाथ जोड़कर आपसे कह रहा हूं, अपने पति को, अपने बेटे को, अपने पापा को समझाइए कि दिल्ली में विकास करें, दिल्ली में लोगों को ना मारे शराब के इस अपना झेल मेल में, इस भ्रष्टाचार में। आज तक लगातार इतनी बार ये प्रश्न जो बड़े मूल प्रश्न हैं उनको जवाब नहीं मिले हैं और उन प्रश्न के बदले कुछ इधर उधर की ऊल झलूल बातें करके देश का, दुनिया का ध्यान वो डाइवर्ट करते रहते हैं, लेकिन कभी प्रश्नों का उत्तर नहीं देते हैं।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
All right, joining us on the debate, we have Dr. Suman C. Raman, political analyst, Dr. D.K. Giri, also political analyst, along with Akhil Khan, political analyst. All will be taking the side of the Aam Aadmi Party. But my first question is to you, Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP. A number of charges have been made, 2 sting operations so far. Perhaps there could be more. But without getting into the rhetoric of 4 days, 40 days, 4 hours, 48 hours, I'm going to ask you specifically, what, in a simple sentence, if the viewer wants to understand, are you trying to prove through today's sting operation? How does this show Manish Sisodia has anything to do with anything?
Okay, Padmaja, you asked me a straightforward question and I will not hold back any punches. I will say it like it is. You know, there have been 2 sting operations, one on the 5th of September, where accused number 10, Sunny Marwa's father, Kulvinder Marwa, said that they, and when he said they, he meant the Aam Aadmi Party, specifically the likes of Manish Sisodia and Arvind Kejriwal. They took 235 crores from us. From others, they have taken 500 crores. He went on to elaborately explain, पहले हमारा profit margin 20% होता था, now it is 80%. Coming to today's sting operation dated 15 September, the person who gave out a lot of information, or should I say turned hostile after having been one of the beneficiaries, is Amit Arora, linked to Buddy Retail. Now what does Amit Arora say? He also establishes a money trail, clearly saying that 100 crores was given to Manish Sisodia and gang by Samir Mahendru of Indo Spirits, and 60 crores was given by Amandeep Dhal of Brindco Sales to the Aam Aadmi Party, particularly Manish Sisodia. Now, when the Enforcement Directorate, Padmaja, initially filed an FIR, I remember I was on your show, and the question that repeatedly came back to the BJP and to me was, has there been a money trail? Have there been witnesses? And the Enforcement Directorate has clearly said there is prima facie a money trail, there is a quid pro quo, there are proceeds of crime. This is the exact phrase used by the Enforcement Directorate, and now you have whistleblowers. I know the next question will be, oh, Sunny Marwah himself is accused. If his father in a sting operation blames the Aam Aadmi Party.
No, don't preempt my question.
Let me finish.
Don't preempt my question, because then we'll go all over the place. We are going by specifics. Just a second. So you said, no, just a second. Like I said, we are dealing in specifics. People get confused because this is a technical story. Sanju Verma, let me ask you a specific follow-up question to your answer. You said that Mr. Dhal and Mr. Mahendru, according to this stung person Amit Arora, has said 100 crore rupees advance was given to Aam Aadmi Party, which they put in their election campaign in Punjab. Elections are over. Surely by now you would have established a money trail. Where is it?
Padmaja, let me be very clear with you. You know, the entire investigation process involves filing of an FIR, a charge sheet, there's a trial, witnesses are brought to the jury box, and then you have the judge pronouncing the judgment. We are not a banana republic. Judgment is not a 2-minute Maggi noodle process. Aajkal to Maggi bhi 2 minute mein nahi banti. But coming to your moot question, Padmaja, let me be very clear with you. Do you remember what Arvind Kejriwal said after Bhagwant Mann took over? यदि कहीं पर भी भ्रष्टाचार का आरोप लगता है, आप स्टिंग ऑपरेशन करके मेरे सामने लाइए, मैं जांच कमेटी बिठाऊंगा, मैं इन्वेस्टिगेशन करवाऊंगा, but 10 seconds. What is Arvind Kejriwal today saying? Manish Sisodia को भारत रत्न दो, and I'm sure if Arvind Kejriwal had his way, then Satinder Jain को पद्म विभूषण मिल चुका होता अभी तक. I want to ask one question, one simple question. Instead of the BJP having to prove that the sting operation is not bona fide, we need to ask, why is it that every time the names of Dinesh Arora, Arun Ramchandra Pillai, Vijay Nair and Arjun Pandey, these names prop up, Manish Sisodia has run away from the press conference. Why? विजय नायर का नाम सुनते साथ मनीष सिसोदिया भाग क्यों जाते हैं हर प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस से? I want an answer to that.
Okay, before you ask that question, for the benefit of the viewer, you also have to explain the context of all those names, and the reason why I was going step by step is because people get confused. You know who Vijay Nair is, I know who Vijay Nair is, the lay person does not know who Vijay Nair is and why he's suddenly cropping up. So I will again come back to the issue of the 100 crores that Amit Arora is speaking of Akil Khan. Akil Khan, now here is a man जो कि कोई राह चलता आदमी नहीं है. पहली बात, ये FIR में है, इसके खिलाफ केस भी है. This person has been accused by the CBI, by the way, of being instrumental in tweaking the liquor policy in Delhi to benefit a few people. This man was in touch with 2 bureaucrats and in collusion with politicians, allegedly, he formulated, or rather, he manipulated the Delhi excise policy in order to accrue benefits. ये आदमी आज बोल रहा है अकील खान कि यहाँ तो खुल्लम खुल्ला चल रहा है, 100 करोड़ का एडवांस दिया, फिर खुला खेल है, कमाओ, 150 करोड़ तो ऑलरेडी कमा चुके हैं. वो आदमी, ये कोई रैंडम नहीं है, ये कोई भाजपा का प्रवक्ता नहीं है, ये खुद वो आदमी है जिसके ऊपर इल्जाम है कि इन्होंने आम आदमी पार्टी के साथ एक तरफ और ब्यूरोक्रेट्स के साथ मिलकर दूसरी तरफ दिल्ली की एक्साइज पॉलिसी बनाई और लोगों को लूटा. अकील खान.
Madam, tell me, CBI is inquiring this case. CBI lodged the FIR also, and against all these accused, and CBI has in its first FIR says that there is no corruption took place except 1 crore between two private parties. And they have inquired everything from house of Manish ji and lockers, as well as ED was going to investigate also, but they withdrawn because CBI didn't get any proof, anything of any substance against Manish Sisodiya. First thing.
Okay.
Now second thing is that this Bharatiya Janata Party, you see, we have been seeing since last 8 years what they are doing. Masters of entire dirty politics, master of entire corruption, and master of entire cheating in India. Tell me, Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, you tell me your relief fund you have created relief fund without RTI inquiry.
और फिर वो रिलीफ फंड, फिर तू मैं होगा. आपका सीधा सवाल ये है, आपका सीधा सवाल क्या है रिलेटेड टू द फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस. आपने बोला सीबीआई को संजू वर्मा फाउंड नथिंग Akil Khan claims in its FIR against Manish Sisodiya. अपने खुद के FIR में CBI को फूटी कौड़ी नहीं मिली.
And why they have not given this two sting operation to CBI? Tell me, you are just doing the media trial. You have got nothing to tell just because you are going to lose Gujarat elections, and there is when they lose 2027
when they lose, we'll do a debate. Let's stick to the facts right now.
This is the basic.
CBI को कुछ नहीं मिला मनीष सिसोदिया के खिलाफ. संजू वर्मा specific.
Padmaja, let us be very clear. Anybody with an iota of common sense knows that be it the CBI or the Enforcement Directorate, and both are empowered to look into money laundering cases, and in this case it is a money laundering case besides being a case of 120B, which is criminal conspiracy, 477A, which is a public servant or a person in high position defrauding the public exchequer, which in this case is Manish Sisodiya. Let me finish, sir, I did not interrupt you. Whether the CBI will take on board, whether the ED will take on board the two sting operations of 5th September and 15th September that you and me are not going to judge on national television. They will do what they need to do. When I say they, I mean the investigative agencies. Manish Sisodiya से मेरा एक ही सवाल है. Vijay Nair, he benefited from the excise policy. Sunny Marma of Mahadev Liquors benefited from the liquor policy. Samir Mahendru of Indo Spirits benefited from the liquor policy. Amandeep Dhar of Brindco Sales benefited from the liquor policy. And Amit and Dinesh Arora of Buddy Retail benefited from the liquor policy, and benefited in a manner that was done by compromising.
Manish Sisodiya has puttingly replied you. He has clearly told that if you have got any substance of this allegation, this sting operation you have made 2 times, you just approach CBI, complain against me, and 4 days let CBI come out with any charges and arrest him. This is a big challenge, and it is threatening to your regime. You are making this a banana country. You are not doing anything good for the country. You are just reading about the bush. You are diverting the attention from the bigger problems of the country. You just because you are knowing you are going to lose. You are going to lose in Gujarat. You are going to lose in India. That is the only reason you are doing this.
Okay, Mr. Khan, while you are Mr. Khan, while there are bigger problems, it is also a problem if there are the exchequer of Delhi has been looted. It also is a problem, and it deserves to be investigated. Do you find it suspicious? Just a second, Sumansi Raman. That in today's press conference, there were specific allegations that were made against the Deputy Chief Minister, that of 100 crores rupees having been taken by the Aam Aadmi Party, point number 1, and the more damaging allegation was that competition was restricted. Only a couple of people were given these deals, unlike other states, in order for there to be a monopoly. And here is a person who himself is involved in the deal revealing it. Why did Mr. Sisodiya not answer any of this? Akil ji, Dr.
Clear answer. We reject these charges and we challenge you. Go to CBI and then let CBI inquire this and let CBI decide whether it is right or wrong. If it is right, arrest. Manish Sisodia, or Modi ji should apologize to the country that you are making mockery of the democracy. Mr. Modi, you have no right to make allegation. Unfounded allegation against any
Mr. Khan, but Mr. Modi is not making these allegations. The person
Modi ji's instances only. This is
भैया,
all doing Modi
Modi
ji's.
ने तो इस
Nobody else.
आदमी
Modi ji is silent, doing nothing. It means he has got a silent acceptance of the charges.
I have to tell the viewers, Mr. Khan is right here with me in the studio, so he knows that I cannot reduce his audio, so he is sort of misusing that privilege. But please, Mr. Khan, सुमन सिंह रमन आप ही की तरफ है, उनको बोलने तो दीजिए. ये मोदी जी नहीं है जो who is making any of these allegations. It is a person who is accused to have benefited from the scam, who himself is saying कि यहाँ पे monopoly बनाई गई थी. अरे अखिल जी, please, Dr. Suman Singh Raman is on your side. You are denying with vehemence. Mr. Sisodia did not deny any of it. The question is why? Why is Aam Aadmi Party not addressing the specifics, Dr. Suman Singh Raman? Dr. Suman Singh Raman.
Yeah, Padmaja, a few days ago, I was thinking that this entire script is playing out like a very badly made, masala movie. And I was really upset thinking that a new director was needed. Now a new script writer is also needed. Look, I think that there is an appalling lack of understanding about the meaning of the term evidence. Somebody says somebody took 500 crores, it doesn't make it a money trail. I mean, how stupid can people be to come on national TV and say that A said B took money and there is the money trail for you. There is the proceeds of crime for you. For God's sake, a money trail means you.
No. We are. That is exactly what I'm asking. Where is the money trail? This is not a money trail. My question is different, Dr. Suman Singh Raman. Dr. Suman Singh Raman, when you say that this is a scripted film, are you suggesting that Aman Arora of Buddy Retail, who is named as an accused by an investigating agency, is actually acting to the BJP script? Is that what you're suggesting? That Aman Arora is a BJP agent?
Padmaja, it does not need a genius to understand that it is potentially possible for the prosecution agency to weaken the case against certain of the accused, should it be so required, and should they provide the script which would help implicate the primary political targets.
So without saying it in so many words, Dr. Suman Singh Raman is alleging, Sanju Verma, that you are manipulating people like Vicky Marwa, like this Aman Arora, saying that you speak against Manish Sisodia. We will let you get away.
Manipulation is being done.
Padmaja, manipulation. It's all versus Padmaja.
Sanju Verma.
Padmaja, you have three panelists supporting the Aam Aadmi Party, which is fine by me. Let me have my say.
Go on.
Okay. Suman Singh Raman has put up a valiant defense for the Aam Aadmi Party, but it's not cutting any ice, I'm sure, with your viewers, and I'll tell you why. I have, proof of the fact, and this is there in the FIR by the Enforcement Directorate. This has been also mentioned by the CBI, that beat the Excise Act of 2009, beat the Delhi Excise Rules of 2010, beat the Transaction of Business Rules of 1993, beat the GNCTD Act of 1991. The Delhi Excise Policy by Manish Sisodia flouted. Please, Mr. Raman, have the courtesy to keep quiet. I did not heckle you. Please.
You were laughing, man.
Okay, please, go on.
Please. Beat the Delhi Excise Act of 2009, I repeat, Delhi Excise Rules of 2010, Transaction of Business Rules 1993, GNCTD Act of 1991. Did Manish Sisodia's excise policy, which was later revoked, flout all the established protocol? Yes. And I will tell you why there is talk of money trail and falsification of accounts, which is a big charge against Manish Sisodia. Padmaja, anyone who understands business knows that an L1 license holder cannot issue credit notes to a retail liquor licensee. In this case, L1 license holders were issuing credit notes to retail vendors with the ab initio intent. This is the word used by the Enforcement Directorate. With the ab initio intent to divert funds. That is where the money laundering angle comes in. I want to ask people on this panel who are supporting the Aam Aadmi Party, show me one instance apart from Delhi where an L1 license holder has issued credit notes to a retail vendor. Show me an example.
Okay, let Professor D.K. Giri take that question. Professor Giri. And facts, please, no rhetoric.
Well, I mean, Sanju Verma in her intervention, she said, let me make it very simple 5 times. So she made it more complicated, not simple. And Sanju Verma has more evidence any time than all the agencies put together. That is another point. My point is simple here, that there are 2 investigations going on. The premium agency of our country, CBI, is investigating this case after LG handed it over to them. BJP is running a parallel investigation with the sting operations. I do not know what is their purpose. Are they supplementing CBI's efforts, or they are more efficient than CBI? We do not know. What is the political purpose? It is pure political brinkmanship. You see, when CBI is involved here, ED is involved here, why is BJP carrying out? They are trying to
answer that, Sanju Verma, because in the last 10 days, nobody has owned up to these stings. Is the Bharatiya Janata Party stinging individuals now? And if yes, are you not muddying an ongoing investigation? Who is doing these stings?
Padmaja, you know, I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised.
But they are all highlighting
Manish Sisodia par, the would-be Bharat Ratna and protege of Arvind Kejriwal, but who's doing the explaining? Who's in the dockyard? Sanju Verma of the BJP. Anyway, I'm used to this. I'll just say one thing. Have you noticed one thing, Padmaja? You know, when Sushma Swaraj was the Chief Minister of Delhi, when Sahib Singh Verma was the Chief Minister of Delhi, when Madan Lal Khurana was the Chief Minister of Delhi, we had the likes of P.K. Dave, Ramesh Bhandari and H.K.L. Kapoor, all known Congressis who were the LGs of Delhi. But never you heard, please sir, please, never you heard that Sushma Swaraj had a fracas with Ramesh Bhandari, or that Sahib Singh Verma had a fracas with H.K.L. Kapoor, or that Madan Lal Khurana had a fracas with P.K. Dave. Arvind Kejriwal has a problem with every LG, right from V.K. Saxena to
You are sidestepping the question. See, again, while on facts, while the content of this thing may be damaging, the question will be asked to you, because the question is this about making political capital over an ongoing investigation? The investigation is not yielding much. That is what the Aam Aadmi Party is saying. Manish Sisodia कह रहे हैं, आपने मेरा घर आया, मेरा लॉकर सर्च किया, एक पैसा नहीं मिला आपको, तो आप क्या कर रहे हैं? अब आप ये स्टिंग ले रहे हैं मेरे को टारगेट करने के लिए.
पद्मजा जी, मैं एक चीज कहना चाहती हूँ. On the 27th of July 2022, the Honorable Supreme Court made it very clear, and while there is a petition, till that petition is not dismissed, the July 27 judgment stands. The Enforcement Directorate does not have to prove. It is the party that has allegations against it that needs to prove that it is innocent.
Okay, but why you are after this sting operation and you are not allowing CBI and ED to do their work? What is the reason? Just answer this. Just answer this, please. What is the reason? What is the reason you are just after this sting operation and not allowing to do the CBI and ED their work?
It is Arvind Kejriwal who needs.
You are again beating about the bush. You are not doing.
Okay, the only logical outcome.
You don't have reply.
Okay.
You have got a political agenda.
Okay.
Follow. You are seeing the defeat in Gujarat. That's why you are worried about that.
Okay.
All BJP people are not able to sleep because of this.
Okay. On the one hand, there is allegations of corruption. On the other, of trying to muddy political waters, muddy an investigation with a political agenda. Doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani can only happen if these things are duly given to the CBI and it has a logical outcome. Already Manish Sisodia has given you that opportunity. Arrest him in 4 days, he says. We'll be keeping a close track. Monday is not too far away. Thanks, gentlemen. Sanju Verma for joining me. Two girls aged 15 and 17 years lured away from their house on a motorcycle, gang raped, strangled to death and hung from a tree. As soon as this horrific crime came to light, the politics started. One after the other yesterday evening, politicians in Uttar Pradesh spoke of it as an atrocity against a Dalit in BJP-led Uttar Pradesh. The direction was familiar. A crime that is to be treated, investigated and condemned as a crime is turned into a caste issue. But soon after, this morning came the news that the police had made 6 arrests. Among those who are arrested are Sohail, Arif, Hafiz, Karimuddin and Chotu. The last accused, Junaid, was arrested after an encounter in which he was shot in the foot. This restarted a furious second round of recriminations between the BJP and other parties. The Saffron Party questioned why those who had jumped in with alacrity at the opportunity to make every crime about identity are quiet now. Why should Lakhimpur not attract as much outrage? Is it because now that the identity of the accused has been revealed, criticizing them is not a political convenient option?
I'm shocked. In case of crime also, they distinguish between crime and they differentiate between what religion the criminal is from. Priyanka Vadra should have been the first one to do that, but he would not. Same is case, she has never visited Rajasthan for that regard. So many atrocities have been committed against women, children. She has never visited Rajasthan also. So she never visited even Punjab, and it was governed by them. There were so many atrocities being committed against women in Punjab also. So she has never visited Jharkhand also for that regard. So it's a very selective political tourism which happens.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us on the debate, we have Kamar Zaman Chaudhary, leader of the Congress, Anurag Bhadoria, national spokesperson, Samajwadi Party, Lokesh Jindal, also leader of the Congress, Tushar Gupta, senior editor of Swarajya. My first question is to Shalabh Mani Tripathi, spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party and himself an MLA from Uttar Pradesh. Shalabh Mani ji, आज समाजवादी पार्टी ने ये लिखा, लखीमपुर की घटना में पुलिस ने लव जिहाद का एंगल खोज निकाला। शायद सीएम आवास से निर्देश मिला होगा। योगी जी और भाजपा इस मामले को हिंदू मुस्लिम बनाकर खेल खेलने में जुटे हैं, लेकिन ये सरासर ध्वस्त कानून व्यवस्था, पुलिस या बदसलूकी, पुलिस या लापरवाही का मामला है। योगी जी, is a law and order issue being turned into love jihad to cover up for failures?
नहीं, मुझे आप एक कोई सरकार का वक्तव्य बता दीजिए या किसी पार्टी का वक्तव्य बता दीजिए जिसमें लव जिहाद या किसी तरह की कोई बात की गई हो। लेकिन ये बात तो सही है कि ये घटना हुई है, दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना हुई, और 12 घंटे के भीतर हमारी पुलिस ने उसका खुलासा किया। ना सिर्फ खुलासा किया बल्कि ऐसा खुलासा किया कि आप 2 तस्वीरें आप देखिए लोगों के बीच में चर्चा में चल रही हैं। एक तरफ अंकिता केस चल रहा है झारखंड का, जिसमें हंसता हुआ, गर्व से हंसता हुआ एक शाहरुख जा रहा है और पुलिस उस पर कोई कार्रवाई नहीं करती। दूसरी तरफ लखीमपुर की दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण घटना हुई है, उसमें दर्द से कराता हुआ आरोपी जुनैद जा रहा है। उसके भीतर दर्द है क्योंकि उसके पैर में गोली लगी हुई है, एनकाउंटर में वो गिरफ्तार हुआ है। तो पुलिस तो कार्रवाई की है, लेकिन समाजवादी पार्टी को ओछी राजनीति करनी है, इसलिए हर घटना का जाति और दूसरे तरह का एंगल निकालते हैं। ये वो लोग हैं जो कहते थे कि लड़कों से गलती हो जाती है। लड़कों से गलती की बात करने वाले लोग अगर सवाल उठाते हैं तो उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता ने उनको भी 4 महीने पहले जवाब दिया है। लॉ एंड ऑर्डर के मुद्दे पर हम यहाँ चुनाव जीत कर आए हैं और लोगों को विश्वास है कि हमारी सरकार ईमानदारी से काम कर रही है। घटना दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, एक गांव की घटना है, दोनों ही पक्ष आपस में परिचित थे, वादी भी और जो तो आरोपी है उनसे भी आपको पता है दोनों उसमें रहते थे। इसके बावजूद 12 घंटे के अंदर सारे आरोपी गिरफ्तार किए गए हैं। बाकी जिनको ओछी राजनीति करनी है वो करते रहेंगे। कभी राजस्थान नहीं जाते, नंबर 1 है रेप में, कभी नहीं जाते, पॉलिटिकल टूरिज्म करने नहीं जाते, वहां पे जाकर नहीं कहते कि वहां किसके साथ क्या हुआ। लेकिन हाँ, उत्तर प्रदेश को जरूर पॉलिटिकल टूरिज्म का ठिकाना बनाने चले जाते हैं। ऐसे लोगों को जनता ने जवाब दिया, हमको जवाब देने की आवश्यकता नहीं है।
बात क्योंकि आपने झारखंड की है, मैं कांग्रेस से पूछती हूँ। एक शाहरुख था झारखंड में, एक जुनैद आज दिखा उत्तर प्रदेश में, फर्क साफ है। लोकेश जिंदल,
देखिए त्रिपाठी जी, क्या कारण है कि उत्तर प्रदेश जो है एनसीआरबी रिपोर्ट के मुताबिक रैंक 1 करता है क्राइम अगेंस्ट वुमेन, और आपकी सरकार ने क्या स्टेप्स लिए हैं? अब तक कोई स्टेप्स नहीं। उत्तर प्रदेश में आज भी 2018 की रिपोर्ट एनसीआरबी के मुताबिक 50,000 से ज्यादा वारदातें होती है साल में उत्तर प्रदेश जैसे राज्य में, और ये रैंक 1 करता है पूरे देश में। हम नहीं चाहते कि झारखंड, उत्तर प्रदेश, राजस्थान इनको कंपेयर किया जाए, क्योंकि ये सभी महिलाएं देश की बेटी। It is not some form of a political question. We all need to come across. We need to get rid of this form of political capitalization based upon such issues. What we need to do is we need to move on with it, bring up certain preventive measures, some form of remedies, some form of precedences. Let us not felicitate people who are coming out of the jail and giving them sweets. Is this a form of?
I love high-minded thoughts, but इससे पहले कि शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी आपका जवाब दे लोकेश जिंदल, I find it very interesting. Perhaps it was intentional, perhaps it was by mistake कि आपने एनसीआरबी के डेटा दिया क्राइम्स अगेंस्ट विमेन का, रेप का डेटा नहीं दिया, क्योंकि उन आंकड़ों में राजस्थान सर्वोपरि है। और ना सिर्फ सर्वोपरि है, जब एनसीआरबी का डेटा आया रेप का, तो आपके मुख्यमंत्री ने क्या कहा कि ये झूठे आंकड़े हैं, क्योंकि महिलाएं लॉ का इस्तेमाल करके झूठे रेप के केसेस कराती हैं। पर चलिए कोई बात नहीं, अब आप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात कह रहे हैं कि हमें ऊपर उठ के देखना चाहिए, हमें कास्ट पॉलिटिक्स, आइडेंटिटी पॉलिटिक्स नहीं करनी चाहिए, जो कि आप हर बार करने लगते हैं। शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी, आप झारखंड ले आते हैं, आप राजस्थान ले आते हैं। शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी,
देखिए आपने सुना ना कांग्रेस के प्रवक्ता कितनी सफाई से झूठ बोल रहे थे। जो व्यक्ति महिला अपराधों को लेकर जिस तरह की जिस पार्टी में झूठ बोला जाता हो, वो कितने संवेदनशील होंगे, उसका अंदाजा मुख्यमंत्री अशोक गहलोत के उस बयान से लगाइए। मैं दो बयानों का बात करूं। एक, अशोक गहलोत जी ने बयान दिया, अभी आपने जिक्र किया, सोचिए कितनी शर्मिंदगी भरा बयान था। दूसरा, उन्होंने एक और कहा, उनसे जब ये पूछा गया कि रेप के बाद मर्डर के केसेस में राजस्थान नंबर 1 है, क्या कहा था मुख्यमंत्री जी ने राजस्थान के? कहा कि नहीं, रेप के बाद क्योंकि फांसी की सजा हो रही है, इसलिए जो आरोपी होते हैं, जो अपराधी होते हैं, वो मर्डर कर देना ज्यादा मुनासिब समझते हैं। ये रेप में फांसी के भी खिलाफ, ये रेप में क्या किसी महिला के साथ अत्याचार में क्या न्याय देंगे, जब एक राष्ट्रीय टीवी चैनल पे, जो लोकप्रिय टीवी चैनल है, वहां बैठ के महिलाओं से जुड़े मसले पर सफेद झूठ बोल रहे हैं। और मैं तो एक ही सवाल पूछ रहा हूं लोकेश साहब, क्या आपने शाहरुख को पकड़ा? आपकी सरकार है ना, इतना हीनियस क्राइम उसने किया, इतना बर्बर क्राइम किया, मुस्कुराता हुआ आपके सिस्टम पर फूकता हुआ जेल गया। और दूसरी तरफ उत्तर प्रदेश में किसी ने अगर करने का प्रयास किया तो पैर में गोली पड़ी है, लंगड़ाता हुआ, कराता हुआ गया। क्यों शाहरुख को फैसिलिटेट कर रहे हैं? क्यों धर्म देख रहे हैं? क्यों हर क्राइम के पीछे आप जाति और धर्म और क्षेत्र देखते हैं? क्यों उत्तर प्रदेश में पॉलिटिकल टूरिज्म करने आते हैं? क्यों नहीं राहुल गांधी से क्यों नहीं प्रियंका
जी? हम जब थे, हम नेशनल कमीशन ऑफ वुमेन लेकर आए, हम प्रिवेंशन ऑफ सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट एट वर्क प्लेस फॉर वुमेन कानून लेकर आए, हम लेकर आए लेजिस्लेटिव रिफॉर्म्स सो दैट विमेन दे कुड बी प्रोटेक्टेड लीगली एज वेल एज गिव देम एडिशनल सेफगार्ड्स। आप बात कीजिए कि सरकार वुमेन की प्रोटेक्शन के लिए क्या कदम उठा रही है। आप इन मुद्दों पर बात कीजिए कि क्या आप किसी प्रकार का लीगल मैकेनिज्म लेकर आए कि ऐसे दोषियों को कड़ी से कड़ी।
लोकेश जिंदल जी, ये बिल्कुल आप सही बात कह रहे हैं, बट द प्रॉब्लम इज ये मुद्दे आपको सिर्फ तभी याद आते हैं जब आपकी पॉलिटिक्स फिट नहीं बैठती है। मैं आपको बताती हूं, अभी आपने 30 सेकंड पहले बोला इन मुद्दों को कभी कास्ट कम्युनिटी से हमें पेंट नहीं करना चाहिए। लेट मी रीड आउट टू यू इन योर ओन केस, आफ्टर इंसिडेंट, जब आपकी राजनीति फिट हो रही थी तो आपने कैसे ट्रीट किया। हाथरस के ऊपर राहुल गांधी जी, यूपी's casteist jungle has killed another young girl. The government tried to cover it up. Neither this unfortunate event was fake nor the girl's death and the government's cruelty. Again, the shameful truth is many Indians don't consider Dalits, Muslims and tribals to be human. आपने ये नहीं कहा कि ये जघन्य अपराध है, यहां पे जस्टिस होना चाहिए। आपने उसको ये भी कह दिया कि ना सिर्फ दलित, मुस्लिम और ट्राइबल्स पूरे इंडिया में ह्यूमन ही नहीं कंसिडर किए जाते। वहां पे आपकी राजनीति फिट हो रही थी, यहां पर फिट नहीं हो रही सर, क्योंकि यहां पर अक्यूज्ड आपके नैरेटिव में फिट नहीं बैठ रहे।
The entire country knows, the world knows the manner in which UP administration dealt with the Hathras case was shameful.
No, sir, it was shameful, but it should have been treated as a crime and investigated as a crime. You were more concerned about giving it your spin. आप मेरे को बताइए, हाथरस में you asked for justice, very good. Behind you, you even drew in Muslims and tribals for no good reason in हाथरस. आपने ये कह दिया कि भैया भारत में तो ट्राइबल्स, मुस्लिम्स और दलित्स को ह्यूमन ही नहीं माना जाता है, because you wanted to use it to spin your politics. Let me get in Anurag Bhadoria. Anurag Bhadoria, कल शाम को आपने बोला कि this is about a complete failure of law and order, despite the fact that today, within 12 hours, all 6 had been arrested. Now,
पद्मजा जी, कमाल की बात है आपकी भी। मुझे लगता है कि कुछ लोगों को बीजेपी का डिफेंड करने की आदत सी हो गई है।
सर हम फैक्ट को डिफेंड करते हैं।
मैं बोलने दीजिए ना, बोलने दीजिए। आप
बोलिए, मुद्दे पे बोलिए।
मैं तो आपके ऊपर बोला ही नहीं। अगर आपके कह रहे चोर की दाढ़ी में तिनका, तो इसमें मेरा कोई कसूर नहीं है।
मेरे कमाल में मत बताइए ना, आप मुद्दे को कमाल की बात कीजिए।
बोलने दीजिए। मैंने कहा उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर में पुलिस का, प्रशासन का माने इतना लचर व्यवस्था है कि कानून नाम की कोई चीज नहीं है। वहां कानून का अंतिम संस्कार हो चुका है। तभी तो बेखौफ है लोग, तभी तो इस तरह की घटनाएं हो रही है। चाहे लखीमपुर की घटना हुई है, जिस तरह की घटना हुई है, और उसके बाद उसकी मां और उसकी फैमिली के लोग जब थाने जाते हैं तो कितनी बुरी तरह उनके साथ बर्ताव किया जाता है। आपने सोचा उनको भगाया जाता है थाने से कि भागे यहां से? सोचो आप, ये उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस व्यवस्था है। एक मां जिसकी बच्ची के साथ अन्याय हो गया, दो बच्ची के साथ, और उसकी हत्या कर दी गई, वो थाने में जाती है तो उसको पुलिस उसको भगाते हैं वहां से। ये उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस है जो थाने में पैर दबवाती है। ये उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस है जो आपस में ही लड़ती है। ये उत्तर प्रदेश की पुलिस है जहां पे
सर 12 घंटे के अंदर लोगों को पकड़ के पेश कर दिया गया। आप क्या बात कर रहे हैं?
तो इसके मतलब पुलिस प्रशासन का कोई डर नहीं है, तभी तो घटनाएं हो रही है। घटनाएं सोचिए, मेरे घर का व्यक्ति चला जाए, उसके आप कहोगे कि हमने 24 घंटे में पकड़ लिया, आपने तो 12 घंटे और कम कर दिए। वो तो 24 घंटे पकड़े गए, आप तो 12 घंटे कम कर दिए। अरे देवी जी, आपको तो नमस्कार। माने इतना हो गया कि आपने 24 में से 12 घंटे और कम कर दिए। 24 घंटे पकड़ा है, इसके मतलब इसके मतलब आप क्या चाहते हैं?
आपको भी नमस्कार। वैसे कल शाम को घटना सामने आई थी, आज सुबह अरेस्ट कर लिया गया था, 2 को कल रात को ही अरेस्ट कर लिया गया था। आप अपना भी नमस्कार रखिए। शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी,
किसी इस तरह की घटना
इनको शांत कराएंगे तो इनके झूठ का खुलासा थोड़ा करूंगा। थोड़ा शांत कराइए प्लीज इनको।
नहीं,
झूठ का खुलासा होता है तो चिल्लाते हैं। देखिए चिल्लाएंगे। थोड़ा शांत कराइए पद्मजा जी।
ओके, 2 सेकेंड इनको भी सुन लीजिए, फिर उनको भी नमस्कार कीजिएगा। अनुराग जी बोलिए। शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी,
देखिए झूठ का कितना बड़ा बवंडर खड़ा करते हैं, और कौन लोग खड़ा करते हैं। मैंने कहा ना कि कौन से ऐसे मुखिया होंगे जो बोलेंगे लड़कों से गलती हो जाती है। आपको याद है ना दूसरी घटना, गायत्री प्रजापति को इनके अखिलेश यादव जी ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बनाकर घूमते रहे। कौन थे गायत्री प्रजापति? देखिए फिर बोलने लगे, देखिए झूठ खुला, फिर बोलना शुरू कर दिया। हाँ चुप रहो, शांत रहो भैया। अनुराग जी सुन लीजिए, ये इनकी जो हकीकत है जनता के सामने जब आई, तब जनता ने इनको ठिकाने लगा दिया। अब कौन है? ये कहते हैं डर का माहौल है। अरे डर का माहौल किसके अंदर है? देखिए ना, मुख्तार अंसारी आपकी सरकार में जेल में रहते हुए जेल के बाहर आके अपराध करता था। अतीक अहमद आपकी सरकार में जेल में रहते हुए जेल के बाहर आकर गुनाह कराता था, और आपने दोनों को ब्रांड एम्बेसडर बना रखा था। आज योगी जी का खौफ इतना है कि मुख्तार अंसारी और चाहे अतीक तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाते हैं और कहते हैं कोई योगी आदित्यनाथ जी से बचाइए, योगी जी की सरकार से बचाइए। माफिया आपकी सरकार में डराता था, धमकाता था, लोग डरे घूमते थे। आज माफिया डरा घूम रहा है। आपकी दिक्कत क्या है कि जब हम माफियाओं की कार्रवाई करते हैं तो आप समाजवादी पार्टी का बिल्ला लगाकर
अनुराग भदौरिया
हो रहा है।
तो यार लोगों का मतलब बढ़ेगा ही ना। जब गृह राज्य का बेटा मुझ पे ताव देगा तो हम तो बढ़ेगा ही, तो अत्याचार तो होगा ही। अगर आपने उसी समय बुलडोजर भेज दिया गृह राज्य
कौन सी पार्टी से जुड़े थे?
होती ये घटना नहीं हो रही होती। आपने चिन्मय स्वामी जो भी आपके मालिश करा रहे थे, आपने उनको जेल भेजा था।
घटना कौन सी पार्टी से जुड़े थे ये बता दीजिए।
आपने उन्नाव की में अगर
कौन सी पार्टी से जुड़े थे?
दो दलित की बच्ची आपने सजा नहीं होती तो आज ये घटनाएं नहीं हो रही।
देश जानना चाहता है,
कराने वालों
पूरा देश जानता है, पूरा उत्तर प्रदेश जानता है।
लाओगे
लखीमपुर की घटना के जो दरिंदे हैं कौन सी पार्टी से जुड़े हुए हैं?
और उसके बाद आगे
घटना में जो दरिंदे हैं आपने भेज दिया, पार्टी ने पाला।
एक सेकंड शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी, आप बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात बोल रहे हैं कि आप ये कह रहे हैं कि लखीमपुर की जो ये घटना है उसके जो ये लोग हैं जो पकड़े गए हैं उनका समाजवादी पार्टी से लिंक है, क्योंकि ये बहुत आप सीरियस एलिगेशन लगा रहे हैं।
आप पूछिए ना, इनसे पूछिए। पूरा प्रदेश जानता है, पूरा लखीमपुर जानता है कौन सी पार्टी से एसोसिएटेड थे ये लोग। ये जुनैद के परिवार के लोग, जुनैद कौन सी पार्टी से जुड़ा था?
शर्म नहीं आ रही है।
ये जो तमाम गिरफ्तारियां हुई है कौन सी पार्टी से जुड़े थे? और यहाँ टीवी पे आके ज्ञान देते हैं, अपराधियों को प्रोत्साहन देते हैं,
नाक के नीचे पैदा
को प्रोत्साहन देते हैं,
देश का गृह राज्य
बलात्कारियों को प्रोत्साहन देते हैं, और टेलीविजन पे आके ज्ञान देते हैं। हरा कुत्ता पहन के
डिफेंड कर रहे हो कि
आपका हरा कुत्ते का ज्ञान
गृह राज्य मंत्री को उठा के
Okay, this is a very serious charge, and if indeed that is the case, then there'll be some serious questions to answer. But till that happens, अनुराग जी, आपको मैं एक तारीख याद दिलाना चाहती हूँ। अभी आपने कहा लचर कानून व्यवस्था है, ये एंटी दलित है पार्टी, ये यूपी एकदम खत्म हो चुका है, गर्क में जा चुका है, वो तारीख खत्म हो चुका है, ठीक है,
हाँ खत्म हो चुका है,
खत्म हो चुका है, ठीक है।
मैं तो आपकी आवाज उठा रहा हूं, आप ये
नहीं अच्छी बात है, आप उठाइए प्लीज, मैं आपकी उठाई हुई मेरी आवाज से आपको एक तारीख याद दिला रही हूँ, 3 जून 2014। अनुराग जी मेरी आवाज उठा रहे हैं तो फिर अपनी आवाज थोड़ी कम कीजिए प्लीज। 3 जून 2014 को एक क्राइम हुआ था उत्तर प्रदेश में, which unfortunately was eerily similar to what we saw today in Lakhimpur. 2 बहनें थीं, बदायूं में 14 और 15 साल की, both of them were found hanging from a tree in a sugarcane field. उस वक्त अखिलेश जी मुख्यमंत्री थे। पत्रकारों ने अखिलेश जी से पूछा, अखिलेश जी बदायूं में क्या हो गया, उत्तर प्रदेश में क्या चल रहा है? अखिलेश जी ने पता है क्या जवाब दिया? आपके घर में तो नहीं हुआ ना?
मैं जवाब दे दूं?
बोलिए। उस वक्त उत्तर प्रदेश क्या गर्क में था?
मुझे लगता
लॉ एंड ऑर्डर लचर हो गया था, खत्म हो गया था।
बात सुन लीजिए, कमाल की बात है आपकी भी। मुझे लगता है बेकार बीजेपी के प्रवक्ता आते हैं, आप तो इतनी अच्छी डिफेंडर हैं।
सर मुझे क्यों अटैक कर रहे हैं? अभी आप लचर कानून व्यवस्था की बात कर रहे हैं, आप तो सेंसिटिविटी कितनी लचर है मैं आपको याद दिला रही हूं। आगे आपको बताती हूं, जब बदायूं में वो जघन्य हत्या हुई थी तो अखिलेश यादव जी ने बोला, एंड आई कोट फ्रॉम द टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया, ही सेड अ गूगल सर्च विल शो यू दैट क्राइम्स लाइक दिस आर टेकिंग प्लेस अक्रॉस द कंट्री, बट देयर आर सम कनिंग पीपल हु कैन ओनली सी व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन उत्तर प्रदेश। I suggest you go and Google and see what is happening in Karnataka.
आप कमाल है बीजेपी को।
बदायूं में 2 बच्चियां मर गईं, आप पत्रकारों को गूगल करने के लिए बोल रहे थे सर। तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर छोड़िए, इनसेंसिटिविटी की क्या हालत थी वो आपके सामने जाहिर है। एनी हाउ लेट मी गेट इन तुषार गुप्ता एज वेल। सर सब याद है। माई स्टैंडर्ड पोजिशन हैज बीन, किसी भी क्राइम को राजनीतिकरण मत किया कीजिए। आप अपने कन्वीनियंस से उठाते हैं, विक्टिम्स को आप एलिवेट करते हैं या उनको चुप करा देते हैं अपनी पॉलिटिक्स के हिसाब से, एंड दिस इज टेरेबल। You don't care about the crime. You care about your politics.
आप भूल गए
and it stinks.
आप भूल गए हाथरस वाली घटना।
हाथरस वाली मैं नहीं भूली थी सर। Anyway, I don't need to justify what I did in Hathras. Let me bring in Tushar Gupta. Tushar Gupta, is this equal hypocrisy?
पद्मजा, जब समाजवादी बात करती है लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की तो ऐसा लगता है जैसे चीनी लोग डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में बात करें। मैं बस इतना ही कहना चाहूंगा क्योंकि मैं अनुराग भटोरिया जी को सुन रहा था। पर कल एक जर्नलिस्ट ने ट्विटर पर पूछा कि लखीमपुर खेरी में ऐसा इंसिडेंट हुआ है, लड़कियों का कास्ट क्या है बताइए। ठीक है, महिला जर्नलिस्ट है, सवाल कर रही है। आज जब सामने आया कि एक जुनैद शामिल है, ऐसे 5 और लड़के शामिल है, तो एकदम चुप्पी हो गई। और ये आज की बात नहीं है, अक्टूबर 2020 हाथरस का केस, सब पॉलिटिकल पार्टियां वहां पहुंच गई, कांग्रेस से शुरुआत करके। बुलंदशहर में हुआ फरवरी 2022 में, फिर कांग्रेस की प्रियंका गांधी वहां पहुंच गई। बीच में दिल्ली में एक सा केस आया जहां पर एक 9 साल की दलित लड़की के साथ दुष्कर्म हुआ। टीएमसी, आम आदमी पार्टी, कांग्रेस पार्टी सब पहुंच गए। लखीमपुर खेरी कोई नहीं जाएगा पद्मजा, ये आज का सत्य है, क्योंकि इन लोगों के लिए महिला की सुरक्षा विषय नहीं है। दे डू नॉट केयर अबाउट वुमेन सिक्योरिटी, दे डू नॉट केयर अबाउट क्राइम्स अगेंस्ट वुमेन, दे केयर अबाउट द रिलीजन ऑफ द परपेट्रेटर्स, they care about the politics of it, they care how can they mobilize an gruesome incident to suit their own political agenda. आज अगर लखीमपुर खेरी में कोई और परपेट्रेटर होता, राहुल गांधी अपनी भारत छोड़ो यात्रा छोड़कर जाते वहां, पर ऐसा नहीं होगा क्योंकि सबको अपने पॉलिटिकल ब्राउनी पॉइंट स्कोर करने हैं, सबको अपना एजेंडा आगे करना है। ये हिपोक्रेसी नहीं, आज का सच बन गया पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का। ये सिर्फ बातें रह जाती है टीवी डिबेट्स के, कह रहे हमें महिला सुरक्षा की चिंता है, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सेंसिटिविटी की चिंता है, यूपी गर्क में चला गया। अनुराग भटोरिया जी बड़ी बड़ी बातें कर रहे थे, पर आज इनसे पूछे क्या अखिलेश यादव जाएंगे लखीमपुर खेरी? कल ही सुबह जाएंगे।
भारत जोड़ो क्या जुड़ते जुड़ते लखीमपुर पहुंचेगा?
आपका वन साइडेड लॉब
कमर जमान चौधरी,
हाँ, yeah, thank you, Padmaja. You know, Mr. Tripathi and Tushar Gupta, you know, in the displaying their oratory skills and to shift the entire blame to the opposition. Now, let me ask you, Tushar ji and Mr. Tripathi, where was the Prime Minister when the rapists of Bilkis Bano were freed from jail and they were garlanded by your Vishwa Hindu Parishad guys? Did he utter a statement? Did he condemn this statement? No. Where was he when Swami Chidmanand or Kuldeep Sengar were indicted? This is called hypocrisy of the first दर्जा का hypocrisy है इनका. राइट विंग जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी से बिलोंग करते हैं या उनका इकोसिस्टम से बिलोंग करते हैं, इमीडिएटली दे विल ट्राई टू शिफ्ट इट टू द
शिफ्टिंग द ब्लेम. शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी गिरेबान में झांकिए. शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी, लेट हिम आंसर. यस, गो ऑन. शलभ मणि त्रिपाठी.
देखिए, आपने बात की ना कि दो हिपोक्रेसी की बात आपने की. हिपोक्रेसी क्या होती है, मैं आपको दो उदाहरण देता हूं. उत्तर प्रदेश में आतंकी हमले हुए, और आतंकी जब हमले करते हैं तो हिंदू मुसलमान सिख ईसाई नहीं देखते. उत्तर प्रदेश में आतंकी हमले हुए और खूंखार आतंकी पकड़े गए, तो श्रीमान अखिलेश यादव जी की सरकार ने उन आतंकवादियों के मुकदमे वापस ले लिए, ये कहते हुए कि ये बड़े निरी टाइप के लोग हैं, बड़े बेबस टाइप के लोग हैं. और तब हाईकोर्ट ने उसमें हस्तक्षेप किया और कहा कि नहीं, ये नहीं हो सकता. आप पद्मश्री देना चाहते हैं क्या, क्योंकि वो एक खास तबके से आते हैं, और बाद में सारे खूंखार आतंकियों को सजा हुई, आप पता कर. ये हिपोक्रेसी का पहला उदाहरण. दूसरा उदाहरण कौन सा है कि जब बाटला एनकाउंटर हुआ, एक जाबाज इंस्पेक्टर मोहन शर्मा मुकाबला कर रहे थे आतंकवादियों का और शहीद हो गए, तो इस देश के एक नेता रोई इस बात के लिए कि आतंकी मार दिए. सलमान खुर्शीद ने खुलासा किया. शर्म नहीं आती आपको इस बात, इस हिपोक्रेसी में शर्म आती कि नहीं आती आपको? क्या आपने आतंकियों को इस बात के लिए आपकी नेता रोई कि उसका एक वोट बैंक का फायदा मिलेगा? हाँ, तो हिपोक्रेसी नहीं है. यहाँ जो अपराध करता है उस पर बुलडोजर चलता है. कुलदीप सेंगर को हमारी सरकार में सजा हुई. समाजवादी पार्टी से कुलदीप सेंगर आए थे, पता कर लीजिए. अनुराग भदौरिया बैठे हैं, इन्हीं के पार्टी से आए थे.
And if we really care, we'll set aside the politics and the hypocrisy and for a change actually ask for justice in the most unadulterated form in every shade of crime. In that fond hope, thank you very much all gentlemen for joining me.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. You're watching the News Hour at 10